Hey, welcome in, guys. Can't see the chat showing on screen. Hey, I'm back. YouTube chat isn't showing on the chat overlay. I don't think. I'll keep an eye on that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, nice. Wow, 9 months since I started streaming. I feel like I've done about 4 streams in the last 3 months. I've been that busy. Right, so Twitch is all good. Oh, there we go. It must have been you've maybe messaged too soon and it didn't show up, so now it's working. So that's them too good. We should be on TikTok as well. Oh, I didn't bother finishing writing the title, so we're not live on TikTok yet. Let's go live, and then let's get stumped off it within seconds, no doubt. Nice, your GG's complete, and then we've got some GG's here. But don't worry, we're not doing anything new on it. Right, when you're finished. These are going to be, I need to finalize version, what is it, 17 or something. So this was meant to be a sub-only stream as well. I actually forgot to make it a sub-only stream. So I was going to go through wrapping this up as well, trying to release the stable version. But we'll see. Nice, yeah, this is actually the purple, but the side camera. Look at that, one's deep blue, one's purple, and they look pretty much the same. And then if we go to the top-down camera, which I haven't really checked if it's even up and running, that still looks a little bit not purpley, but this is the blue. So yeah, to be honest, the top-down camera still doesn't show it as good as it used to. Why has stuff changed? I haven't even changed my... Let's see if this one works. There you go. Face cam. That's what they look like. So why then has... This camera's never been calibrated. But then why is my top-down one... Maybe I didn't bother with the top-down one being good for the colours. I don't know. It's literally a problem just for purple. Just to show off purple. So we can just use the big face cam when we want to show off purple stuff. I guess I'm not messing with the colours anymore. Like, this is a bit oversaturated with it now being the OBSBot stuff. The face cam is not technically true to colour, but makes me look prettier, like orangey face. And the top down is not quite right, but like a little bit bright, but better for repairs. So I don't think we need to really balance them all. Yeah, got this one as my new favourite. Got the copper one. And that size of coffee is nicer. Like, I drink it fairly quick, but I don't know, I think the other one's a little bit too big. I much prefer this size now, and this handle sort of grip. Oh, hi from France, welcome in. I think we're ready to go. I have not planned this, as always, in any way, shape or form, so I'm not prepared whatsoever for anything we're going to do. I just figured I'd jump on. Stuff's going on and busy everywhere, so we'll see how much I can not get distracted today with phone calls, interruptions and other things I need to do. But we've also got to work through things. So we've got what do we have? We've got some battery swaps, nice and easy. I figured I'd start with these so I can just actually concentrate. Yeah, they are. So tough. You didn't get me on that one. I spent all of yesterday and the day before mind-numbingly, boringly doing the ribbons. It was the least enjoyable thing I've done in a long while. Mainly because of, I'm going to blame KiCad. KiCad is just... I've used Altium for years and it's the best by far for hardware. And I went to KiCad to open source all the stuff, especially like our substreams that I keep forgetting to do. Well, not forgetting, not having the time to design hardware. Whereas if you wanted to design hardware, you're not going to pay like $1.5 grand or $2 grand a year for Altium. So I've had to kind of move over to KiCad in order to support showing stuff off to you guys on streams. But then that's made this task so much more difficult. Hey, welcome in from the US. So on, is it this one? So these are now done. So doing simple things like ribbons on KeyCAD is painful. So I've even been lazy and just dumped them in. In fact, I haven't even ordered these. I made them and I forgot to order them at the factory last night. I'll have to order these. But this is the VA5 ribbon. And nice and simple, like this is not complicated. I've drawn the shape, which took a while, and then drawn some traces. But just the quirks in how KeyCAD works, and specifically in making things like ribbons that aren't technically challenging. It's hard to explain why, but trust me, that was a painful job just to do a simple ribbon. Are Steam Decks still worth it in 2026? Now, I always forget. Is a Steam Deck the gaming console, or is it the button pressy thing for streams? Because I've got both, and I always forget which is which. I own both. I'd say the one for the PC isn't worth it. Use Companion instead. Stream Deck's the buttons, yeah. So Steam Deck, in that case, then the console. I use it to play Resident Evil. I like it, and I think it's the best one still to this date. So personally, I'd say yes, it's worth it. But I literally only play Resident Evil on it. That's all I do on it. So I'm probably not the best judge for whether it's really worth it or not. But in terms of other handhelds coming out and things, I don't think. Better get some work done on them. I don't think there's much else coming out that's going to be competing with it. Xbox obviously officially brought the rights to it in a sense and did a collab, so they've now got an... oh, sorry, no, I'm getting totally confused. I sold my Steam Deck. I brought the ROG Ally, is it? The one that Xbox Microsoft used. I brought the Steam Deck when it very first came out and tried to play Resident Evil on it. The one where I can't even remember because I'm such a retro fan. You start on a train and you've got that guy and the girl and you can bounce between them. I don't pay that much attention to the modern ones yet, but that was glitching on graphics everywhere, so I just sold it. So that's why then I think I brought the ROG Ally. Oh yeah, someone's already had a go at doing this. So yeah, ignore that whole speech about it worth it. I can't really judge on that, but all the other comments you won't be able to see on that are basically, yeah, the ROG's the one I've got. Kind of similar to my experience. It's maybe a little overpriced now and there's better alternatives. So yeah, I'd go with, I'm sure it's the Ally X I've got. But it's whichever one Microsoft have officially now, like purchased the rights to. It's the exact same system by the looks of it. I don't think they've even changed anything. Right, this is so, well, just like me, to be honest, completely unplanned, not even telling you what I'm doing, and working through it. So we've got, for those that don't know, this is one of the most popular things we get now because these are so damn expensive now. Pokemon Emeralds. This is genuine. You got your stamps there. And I've remade this entire PCB, so I know this like the back of my hand. I can tell you whether this is genuine or reproduction. This is 100% original. Somebody's had to go at a battery swap, which should be sitting here. And you can see we're going to put a new battery on there. But first we should probably check if this even works. Rip the ribbon on an upper LCD screen on a DS's. What's the cost? I don't touch DS's. Not because they're difficult, because I just don't like working on them. Basically, what happened there was, one, they are generally annoying to work on. Very fiddly, very small, blah, blah, blah. But the real reason I don't work on them, I'm sure I've told the subs this, I spent hours, like probably 3 or 4 hours when we first started working on them. Hours and hours and hours fixing one, like I always do. I always want to fix it. I had nothing but issues trying to get like the antenna under the game slot and all the fiddly ribbons and so just didn't enjoy the experience. Wasn't in a good mood that day anyway. Got it all working, lost money on the repair because I'd spent that long doing it. Finally built it up, put it in the bag for the customer. So I'd got one of our bags that you no longer get because we don't have a physical store anymore, but we use them still here to put stuff in. So I'd got the bag like this for the customer, put the DS in, shumph, the bag ripped, hit the floor, smashed everywhere. I rage quit and ended them on the site and never touched them again. So that's pretty much why we don't work on DS's. But the official answer is the very time consuming and just not worth it for economical repairs, because they are still a pain to work on. But the real reason is I hate the damn things because I dropped it and smashed it. So that's why you won't get me repairing them. Wondering about the software you showed. Which software? I've got lots of software. I obviously make tons of it as well. See, it's a problem with the small cup. We haven't even started doing anything yet, and I've run out of coffee. So let's just check if this. Oh yeah, you might be on about KeyCAD. Yeah, the red one. It's called KeyCAD. KICAD. It's the free. It's probably the best free PCB software. If you want to learn how to use it, you can just sub to Twitch or YouTube. And I do eventually get time to teach sub stuff. Generally now what happens is the chat is only subs, so I kind of respond only to subs anyway. It's sort of merged in that way. But we do, let's just check this doesn't save. We do sub only streams. It comes and goes depending on when I get time. I've run a few businesses and lots going on, and I disappeared to Italy a week ago as well, and then got insanely busy since coming back, as always. So very hard to get me to lock down a schedule. So I'm just testing the game basically works other than the game save first. And this definitely won't. Actually, this will save because the GBAs don't use the battery to save. So you can see we've saved. Some people think GBAs use the battery for the game save. These do. So these will lose saves when you take them off. That's a fake game. But GBAs save fine. The clock is purely for the time-based events in Pokemon games, pretty much. Yeah, and then someone's popped up with that just in time. So let's see. So there's... I had a way of remembering which components on this were meant to be installed versus missing, and I forgot how I figured it out. So I didn't have to keep looking at images. But those three are always missing. I don't know how I managed to remember it. There was a great way of remembering when you're looking at these that these aren't meant to be installed versus if they've knocked this off, for example. But nothing's coming to mind at the minute of how what my little memory method was to remember that. So to make a ribbon to replace it using the software, is it worth it? For the DS, yeah, if it's your time and you want to invest in it, then it would be. And you might get other people that are. This is not leaded solder on here. You might get other people willing to help you to do it as well. It's just, I don't know. DSs are one thing I found out. I sold like literally hundreds of them. Wow, this is what solder is this? This does not want to come off. What's going on? Wow, yeah, I don't know what solder it. Look at that, barely even melting. Probably plumber's solder. Yeah, the DSs, I sold hundreds of them to somebody just for nothing, just because I didn't want work on them. I'd got loads of stock. And now I found out the other day, 3 DSs are going for like £300-400. I sold them for £5, and I sold multiple of them. So yeah, I made a loss there. But I think the scene might be growing. What's that blob in the middle? That's where the battery goes. What's the blob in the middle? Blob in the middle. You're about these things, yeah. It's the solder points to where the batteries are going. Yeah, it could well be. In fact, it's I might be fixing that aircon myself if we find a leak and there's a problem with the fins and stuff. We'll see how that goes. Right, so that's that ugly solder off. Let's clean this up a bit. Morning, welcome in. How do you set the? Oh, yeah, how hot do you set the iron? I've got some software that overlays on screen that I made for the JBC Iron, but it's because I've rushed it and haven't done it very well. It kind of screws up my mouse and keyboard often. I can show it and see if it works. But I keep my iron at, I think, like 380 to 400. I have a GBA marker that powers off on its own. Do you think? Yeah, dirty power switch, bad fuse. That's probably it. One of them two, I'd say. So the bottom screen was flashing on. Tried to get the ribbon out and hinge. Ripped it. Yeah, I mean, you can repair the ribbons as well. I've done videos somewhere at some point showing how to repair flex ribbons. You basically just have to get a grinder and grind away the... Have I got a flex? I don't really want to go off tangent too much today with being busy, but do I have a flex ribbon anywhere? That's in the faulty. Right, this is in the faulty section, so quick off topic. This is like a flex ribbon, say. Say we've gone, oh no, we've got a damaged ribbon. Oops, I've ripped it. So now, what you can do is, this is probably way too aggressive a tip. You can get grinders. This is like a genuinely crazy aggressive tip. So I doubt this'll do the job. This will probably rip through, but let's see. What you're seeing is the dark bits are nothing. It's the Kapton or the I don't even know what the material is. I always forget. But anyway, the dark bit is nothing, and the light bit is copper covered in a plastic film. So if we were to grind, say over here, you should expose copper under this. This is like a copper grid. And see how it's quite hard to grind away, but then once you get through, there's your copper that you need to, that's it, polyamide, I couldn't think of the word. There's your copper through it, so you can put solder on that now. And this is just a ground plane. So if we were to now try to tin that up, you'd see, there we go, we've now tinned onto there. So the idea when you've ripped it is you need to expose these two thin traces and solder to it. So I'll tell you what, let's try and do it as if I'm actually going to attempt to do it, not just make a mess and say that's kind of how you do it, but not show you anything useful. There's that. Right, so you can see my awesome fingernail there with what looks like giant bugs in, but that's tiny. And there's the that's copper. So this is probably, yeah, side quest already. Only just come back on stream. What you're going to try and do is grind away. Wow, this is running out of battery. And you can see how it just kind of wants to indent. See how it's just indenting the polyamide first. And then we finally get to the copper. So it's hard to see, but that's now copper. And then you want to do the same the other side, or anywhere. It depends on where the rip is. And see how this is what I'm saying, where it's difficult with grinders, because what that's done is kind of it's probably hard to see on the microscope. Maybe on this view. Move them out of the way. It's kind of indented it's still fine, we've got through there, but see how this is sort of indented the ribbon, and it's almost like ripping through the other side there on the bit that doesn't matter. But to grind the coating off is what's difficult, basically. That's kind of where your issues are with getting this done. But once you've done that, all you then need to do on here is let's get some good lighting on there. There we go. You need to blob solder on them two exposed pins. So you just now get solder to attach, like so. You kind of still can't really see very clear. And then you just get some, I'd use enamelled wire, which I don't know whether I sell it anymore. I used to, but if not, just search enamelled wire. Strip it down, and then you just blob. Let's try and get that in focus for you so you can see it happening. You use flux as well on here, I'm just being lazy. You blob that over both ends, like so. And then that is now repaired. You wouldn't want to move this too much because you'd end up ripping the trace. And then you just gently cut that off, like so. And then I presume if I nudge it, yeah, that's caught on the trace. That's now repaired, and you'd have to do that for all of these. So that's probably less time than designing a ribbon, but also you could also buy them off eBay for dirt cheap, I presume, just like another DS and nick the ribbon. That's what I presume. So side quest 1 complete. In fact, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Putting something other than a silicone mat when you're grinding would probably help. That's the faulty screen that's now even more faulty because it's been cut in half. I can go back in the faulty tub. I really want another coffee. I'm going to make a rapid coffee in 2 seconds because this is too small. Back in 2 seconds. You guys chat and tell people I'm not here for a few minutes. There we go. How quick am I at that now? I'm tempted to put this Bambino in this room so I can make coffees in this room, but Zach hates the smell of them, so I think he'd be in even less than he is now. Right, what was I doing? We finished the side quest. We were then going to finish this, weren't we? That's where we're up to. Oh, you got some old school Game Boys. Yeah, definitely get them decked out with stickers, shells, clean screens. I need to do more. See, I never really show Game Boys off on stream because Zach does them all. I tend to focus on more of the desktop heavy stuff. I like the fact that that Ember mug works on my other charger as well. It's like for the white mug, so I can just go between rooms now with the coffees. Right, so let's get this battery on, and then what we're hoping for is... Oh, I was cleaning this board. That's where we got to, wasn't I? Sprayed this with IPA. Maybe kind of cleaned it. Let's warm the board up a bit. And then cleaning the IPA off will work a bit better, or the general gunk. Because heat helps keep everything runny and sticky, and then spray with IPA while it's hot. And trying to multitask and failing. I'm trying to spray the sponge with IPA while heating the board, but I've got absolutely no multitasking skills this morning. Yeah, I've already cleaned it. I'm going to give it one more. It still looks a bit messy. Nice and warm. There we go. Well, it's nice and hot. There we go, a bit cleaner. So battery on. What we want is, if we look at here, you can see this is the positive attached to this piece of metal. Flip it over, that will be the negative. So negative here, the minus, positive here, the plus. Morning on TikTok, welcome in. So we want negative over here, which is this tab. Positive wants to go here. So we'll put it down this way, solder onto here, and then we'll just bend the other tab down and do that. That's what we'll do. What I use to clean the cold magic erasers normally, they're a melamine sponge. Best thing by far to clean with. I've had a lot of people now start using them and ask about it. I don't think anybody else must use them for cleaning, because technically people will be worried about like static and stuff, because they're probably like an anti-staticky or a staticky type sponge. But I've cleaned with them for ages and there's no issues. They do a better job than anything for cleaning. Plenty of solder. There we go, flooded that one. Flood this one with a bit more, just because we can. There we go, so there's no need to push it into the solder, it's soldered underneath and through the hole. That's rock solid. And the tab's up in the air here, so you can just keep adding solder if you want to cover that tab. It's kind of just preference, but honestly it's got more than enough solder on. And then what we will do is check with the multimeter. We actually have 3.3 volt or close to, because sometimes what you can do is install these batteries and just the act of soldering them on can weaken them, or you could have just generally bad batteries. So it's always worth giving it a few seconds and then checking. You could also have a faulty game cartridge that drains the battery. There we go, 3.27. So we're good there. Oh yeah, everybody else I see uses cotton wool buds and things like that. That's exactly why I don't, because I rarely use cotton wool buds. They don't do much. They just spread it about. Whereas the melamine sponge, you can see, well, you could if the exposure on this camera was not ridiculously poor. Let's go to the big face again. So see, I mean, that's still overexposed. Well, it's wet actually, that's why you can't see, but see all the yellow at the end? It's like, there you go. That's all the flux just off this board. So these actually do soak up and clean. They don't just move around. They actually clean the stuff off the board. And that's why I like them. And you can naturally push. The main reason I started using these was pins on like the back of Neo Geos and stuff, where you've got through hole pins. Have I got anything with through hole pins in it? Random Mega Drive, ESA. So all these pins on consoles, you try and clean between there. Put a melamine sponge on, rub over, and you're cleaning between the pins perfectly, and this just like gets ragged and ripped while you're cleaning, but it allows you to fully clean the bottom of circuits like this with ease. Like nothing else will do that, nothing at all. So that's why I use it. And then like I say, since doing that, I've seen tons of people like use them and then say they're great. So, but if you want them, they're just called melamine sponges. Do you do arcade boards? I used to. I did a lot of Neo Geo MVS, Sega Naomi's, Naomi 2s, a bunch of them, but the problem was I didn't like I spent absolutely weeks of my time writing the knowledge for free and putting it on the Retro 6 wiki, and I didn't need to, and it basically allowed people to understand and figure out how the arcade machines worked. And do the repairs themselves. So I was doing them for work, but then just the scene and the people were not friendly and not nice, and the usual, like you find in most scenes, not good people. So I don't bother repairing them because I don't need to do this for money. I do it for the enjoyment, and I don't feel the scene around the arcade people is a group of people I want to support or spend my time giving away knowledge for free, basically. So, yes, I've done tons on them, but I don't really work on them anymore now, just for that reason. I spend my time where people appreciate it, really. Yeah, oh yeah, what you do with the sponge once it's shredded, you use it a bit, this is started getting a little bit ripped, and before it gets too bad, then just get scissors and just snip off the end before it shreds. Now you've got a nice clean end, you've got all your messy bit there, bin that, and away you go. That's kind of how or again, just bear in mind when you're cleaning up, just make a messy desk, clean up, hoover up all the loose bits, and away you go. So let's see now. Do we get, sometimes you'll still get the dry battery warning. This one luckily hasn't. If you do get the dry battery warning still, then I was going to potentially make some software to fix and patch that in, is what I was going to guess. Bear with me 2 seconds. Let me figure out what I want to do with this code. I'm just trying to revert some of my code on the clean screen, ready for testing that in a minute as well. Right, that's that compile going. Battery holder for GBA games. Yeah, the way you can do that is, right, this one's done. What have I done with the paperwork for that? That's that one. You can just make a little flex PCB maybe. Oh yeah, we got banned for recommending melamine sponges. So you guys on TikTok are now the only 17 people in here, and you probably won't see anybody else in again. First time in, it's probably because exactly that reason. TikTok love to block it, so I definitely sub to YouTube or Twitch so you carry on seeing it, or Facebook. I stream on all of those, but TikTok's an absolute nightmare for restricting, just permanently restricting me. Sharpens the scissors too. Oh yeah, probably, yeah. Because I thought sometimes when I was using these sponges they were a little bit rough, so they're like a natural super fine sander, I guess, as well. Not enough room for a battery holder in the cart, so I think there is. I think there's a way to do it. In some, well, it depends, doesn't it? It doesn't have to be that battery shape or size or location. I could figure out that at some point, but to be honest, once you've swapped the battery, they last another 10 years. So I don't think it's, it's sell because it's the thought of you can self-maintain whenever you need to. But there's also potential to have something different in there than the coin cell. I don't know what, but there's ways. Right, that's clean. I love you, Wiki. Thank you very much. I've started updating it more recently. Right, we've got 4 Pokemon games, battery replacement, no other repairs. Okay, cool. So let's double check that's true. Let's check these work. Yeah, I'm thinking about, that's pretty much what I was thinking, maybe some kind of flex thing. Oh yeah, I wouldn't touch HDR stuff. He'll put you on a wall of shame and abuse you for using it. Trust me, we've done a video doing exactly that. In fact, it was that Game Boy Emerald that I used his apparently open source board to repair a customer's, and he did nothing but abuse me online for using it. Then I spent that weekend cloning it perfectly, way better than his, with all the traces done accurately, the fonts done accurately, and then of course open sourced it for everybody for free, and mentioned that mine will not give you a kind of a wall of shame, if you will, for actually using something that's open source. So he's a proper and utter troll. So I wouldn't touch anything you see of his at all. But let me just quickly show you the one I've made. Just, of course, everything seems to have logged me out everywhere with not being on computers for, like, not being on certain computers for a small amount of time. I'm logged out everywhere. Right, so I think it's in Angel 6 Retro 6 dash resources, I think. Let me see. Let me pop it onto this one. Yeah, so if you go to Angel 6 Retro 6 resources, if you go to Game Boy, there, Game Boy cartridge, re-PCB, probably zoom in on this a bit. And here you go, most accurate reproduction. The problem with the current ones, inaccurate traces. This is basically his board. Inaccurate traces, inaccurate copper ports, inaccurate silk screen, board edges, blah, blah, blah. Author claims to own Nintendo's IP and shames others. Like, genuinely, go on his page and you'll see a hall of shame. Like, just sadness. He hasn't made anything. He's scanned in a board and remade it in 2 hours and then trying to get too much clout for it. So instead, I spent about 7 hours making a TTF font that is identical to the original. And I mean absolutely identical. So I think there's a fade over. There's the real PCB and my redrawn keycard schematic over the top. You tell me you can even see a difference. Absolutely and utterly identical. And the same for the back. So if you ordered this and made it, you could not tell it's not original. And all the files are free. Even if you don't want to make it, just click the PCBWay link, order it up. Or if you actually want to support me, you can go to, let me just move that off a second, in case I expose anything on my page. You can actually just go to Retro 6 and go to Mods, GBA, and I actually sell it. So, you know, you don't need to pay me money, I don't really care. You can do it yourself, but we also sell it. Yeah, I could be a troll myself and just re-release everything there, just better. Right, so these apparently work. Don't do one for Mega Drive yet. Now I'm getting into Mega Drive stuff, so this is loading, that's all we care about for now. This one is fake, so this might be an issue. I can tell straight away when you work with them enough. It looks like it's been put in a genuine case, had a fake sticker, but maybe the game's real, but either way the sticker's fake. Yeah, I've got a complete unreleased Mega Drive mod as well that does loads. It's just time with me. I do so much that my time is the most limiting factor, like insanely limited. So this one loads anyway. Not too fussed about much beyond that. As long as they load, we know the current state of them. Oh, there's this getting low batteries. I use like the most battered Game Boy for testing. Yeah, we got flat little. This needs a clean juice. I don't think we've got a back cover. Amazon basics are now flat, I presume. Have we got a clean juice line around? No. All goes back to how bad I am at advertising my own products. Actually, has Zach got one so I can at least show off something I make? Nope, I don't even have one up here. What's Zach do then? Does he even install my products? Clean power. No other extra tub. Nope. Wow, don't even have a clean juice. Let me see if the missus will bring me some up and then we can install one into that. 1 second. There we go. The mist is going to bring me some, but I've actually found one in my tub. So here's the new one. A new counter in the corner showing how many. So, oh yeah, we need a side quest counter for sure. And then they're going to have to get, every 5 side quests, we're going to have to get somebody to donate something in chat or buy Rusty a treat. Morning, welcome in. So this new one, the only problem we had with this, or step back one extra step, this had 2 fins on the original design, mainly because sometimes if you're not using genuine shells or hours, what I found when I was prototyping is when the batteries were inserted into the console, is that the right way? Yep, like this, and then the way this works is to go in here and the back of the USB here touches the battery perfectly, so that what happens is when this is clicked in, this could push through otherwise. So see how I can push it through my finger and it moves freely. So this is held mechanically by the edge of this battery. And what would happen in some is this battery would push up, and see how it's like on the edge of making contact there. So what would happen is in the prototypes, before I had a custom USB made, this would push off and not make contact with that spring. So the only purpose of having the tabs here was just a bridge. You can see how there's a line running down here. That's just a bridge. So it's just a piece of copper. This is actually one I've just cut off. But what it did was just ensure that both of these batteries, mainly this bit, was kind of mashed in with copper between it to make sure they still made contact. But then once I'd made this custom USB, so this is literally a USB made for us because it's so specific in size and shape, it doesn't push the batteries out of the way now. Plus our batteries, which are nice, cool. Also, I still can't believe I've made my own batteries and had them certified and everything. Our batteries sit, you can see, perfectly fine. So now that tab is not needed. And what people were doing is, instead of installing it this way, what they were doing is installing the board flipped upside down. So they were installing it effectively in the shell this way and putting the bridge over the wrong part of the batteries and dead shorting the 2 batteries together, causing these to get like literally almost boiling hot. So they're removed on the new design, so now you can't accidentally screw this install up. Plus the install's now a million times easier. So I haven't even done a new guide for this version because it's just tabs missing. But let me show you how easy the new guide is now. In a sense, this is the install guide. You can probably even pre-install it like this. This is not the way I'd have normally done it. I'd normally install the board first and then put this on. Hey, welcome from New Zealand. But basically you just want to rest that over. I think we might have to, yeah, probably got to remove it from this. It's not the way you'd install it. So you get this board. People are installing it this way, basically looking at this naturally and doing it wrong. It goes in this way. So rest this over the edge of them batteries like that. You don't need to go all the way down, that's too low. You want to just be held up a little bit. And then just install your batteries. So install one the right way would help. Like so. And now this is held in by that. You can pull this up slightly and it'll still be fine. And get off. No, not yet. It's 15 minutes until at best. I know, I'm boiling. Yeah, it's cold out there.
I'm not out there.
That's why I'm warm.
No, I'm not out there. That's why I shouldn't be freezing.
Yeah.
God, I walked out this morning, got in the car. I thought, Jesus, it's gone
Yeah,
cold.
I did. I put this on, but this is roasting.
But yesterday did the same, and then late afternoon.
Yeah, it got warm.
I go put like a vest up. I put like sleeves in, and then I thought, Jesus, I'm up. So I went put like a vest top on, and then it's the wind, I think.
Yeah.
What's that? A bed for Rusty there?
Mm-hmm. It's his outdoor bed. When it's sunny, keep him cool.
Oh, God.
Manda wanted to chuck it, but I was like, no way. Because as soon as it gets warm again and he comes out, that's when he'll
It's
be.
supposed to be reaching the tops again this weekend.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Right, so we have this installed like that, as you see, and then now you just put the other battery in, and there's the spring, so we go this way, install there, and this should now fully work. So we should be able to test it in theory. Oh, so maybe we've got a bad screen here. Maybe that screen has died on us, not so much the battery. But that's how you'd install that, and then you would connect. Well, what you'd do is you'd want to get this through that USB port, which you'll find normally happens fairly naturally with aligning it up like that. So you just go for put the battery cover on, and then if you just grab a USB now and insert it through and then pull it straight, you'll see the USB being inserted pulls through like that. So you're using the USB to pull that into position, and now it's perfectly in position and charges up where you see the orange light charging there. So now let's see if it's just a low battery. Now we do look like we've actually got a faulty screen, which is no shock because this is a really old console. So that's just happened to have died on us, so I'll get Zach to swap that out. Let me get then my my personal Game Boy, which is in the living room. 2 seconds. There we go. So here's my, I don't know how many people realise whether we've got this case or not. Ignore all the rusty hairs and marks over it, but these are soft sleeves that we make as well that are perfect for storing, like I've got my headphones in. Got headphones there, and they slide in perfect. So just a nice little protection. So this is my personal one, and you can see I'm in the middle of playing Pokemon Emerald, and this one actually works. Right, let me just move that out of the way a second. Right then, so where were we at? This is now broken screen, isn't it? We were I wonder if, was it this we were testing? No, it was this. I wonder if this has killed something. Do I really want to plug that into my console to test? Let's maybe test the silver first. I mean, I guess if it kills it, then we can fix it anyway. So you can see mine's also got clean light on as well, which you kind of can't see, just a nice little glow. And you can change these colours as well, which is, see how I have mine nice and quiet, nice and dull. That's how I play my Game Boy, so it's more like original. Hey, welcome in. But this is a full Retro 6 build, so this has got clean light in, and if I even remember now, left and right go between the profiles. You kind of can't see in this lighting, but you go through all the different colours. It doesn't help with studio lighting to see all these colours. So you've got like reds, and I've got it on very dim setting as well. I think up just makes it brighter. Yeah, there you go. So all these different colours, and you can set every single button to a different colour if you like. That's kind of a nice cyanic colour. You just can't really see with all these studio lights on. So now and you can turn it off by going all the way down. But I have mine on dull, and where's my colour gone? I think that I just have it like a nice little whitish colour, and then you hold select to set it. There we go. And then clean screen, you can hold select Alt R and bring up the clean screen menu to do whatever you like. Again, I have mine, well, my trigger isn't the best. You can lower the brightness, to all the way off. I just have mine, like I say, nice and dim. I like mine being more like original. Right, so that one works. Let's let that close so it saves. There we go. And now, is this the thing killing the consoles, or is it just that Donkey Kong old one? Yeah, it was just bad luck. So this one just finally has died. I think we'll just scrap this and reuse it because this is so old. I don't think it's even got a clean screen in. There we go. So they're all good. Now they just need battery swaps. So that one's done. No, that's mine. So keep them out of the way a minute. Now we need to battery swap all of these. So we'll see if this is a real board in a minute. All the others are definitely genuine. That's a fake label in a real cartridge. So hopefully he just lost the label, and we're best doing these one at a time. He lost the label and maybe swapped the label out, is my guess. So there's this one, and see, it's hard to tell if they've had battery swaps because the originals had these yellow tapes on. So I never really, unless you tell very obviously, sometimes it's hard to tell if they've had battery swaps. Maybe this one's had one at some point. But let's get this one out. I suppose it's easy to say when you're used to it, but I don't see how people mess these battery swaps up, like how they rip tabs and knock components off, because it's just two giant tabs and you weight and lift. So it's like, I don't know, what do people, like, does anybody in here actually struggle on the battery swaps? And if so, kind of what's the thing you struggle with? Because I always wonder that. I know some things can be tricky, but things like a battery swap, I struggle to see what people do to make the mistake, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure what you can do to get it wrong. As long as you take off one tab at a time, then maybe it's the trying to take both tabs off at the same time or something, or the tugging as opposed just waiting for it melt. I'm not sure. And then the same for putting on, just rest it in place, flow the solder over and just wait, kind of thing. There's I suppose the soldering on is maybe more explanatory, because they could just have a poor soldering iron and the wrong solder, which makes every job harder. But I don't know. It's one of them. I'd like. I nearly melted my Game Boy. Let's move him out the way. I just struggle to see, like, say, how this task goes wrong for so many people, and it does. It's not just like it's one. This is a very common thing. But again, it's hard to kind of, like, I guess I soldered 15 years ago for the first time. It's very hard once you have a knowledge of something to remember how hard something is. You kind of, even if you think about it, you can't remember the difficulties in it, I guess. JBC irons, definitely. They're all different, really, in terms of each iron and what they're used for. But the tweezers I've used them yesterday for taking a transistor off a Mega CD, to be honest, just getting over two components. So these are great for removing and re-adding resistors, caps and transistors, but you can't really batch work, and these don't last long enough for batch work. So they'll do about 40 connections without putting them back in and charging them. But I rarely use these. This is literally, if I wanted to say, I don't know, change this resistor here, which is quite small. It's probably an 0402. Say I wanted to change this little resistor. I could just use these tweezers, nice and easy. No, dirty and no flux. I'll just put flux on, and then, just for a quick example, I'd just go over, pick that up, put a new one on, let go. Like, nice and easy, nice and quick. Because they're sat there and accessible, so I just have to grab them. So, works good for me. Thanks for the second sub. This one is by far the best. This is the first one they gave me, the BIM 500. I've purchased all the others, and I've purchased another one of these for Zach. This thing is a beast. Absolutely nothing I can say that this doesn't work for me in my workflow. Like everything. Massive ground planes, tiny pins. This has just replaced all of my setup. These, though, these little ones, we brought these because the convenience of size, being nice and small, being able to just do this and have them in a backpack sort of thing. But these again don't last long at all. So these are really useful for portability and just going out on site and doing a few connections. Game show work for stop doing swaps after your bridge pins on the IC below the battery and wouldn't start. Yeah, that's not a problem. Like, again, the bridging. Like on this is something like, you know, oh no, I've got a bridge on a pin. Whoops. It's like just, it's not hard. Just, all you need to do on this is flux the whole chip, clean the tip of the iron. So put this in brass wool, get it completely clean, and now just warm up and pull away. Clean the tip, warm up, pull away. And that's it. Do that over and over and over. You don't even need to go to desolder wick. You can just stick that on there, but what people do with this, they'll stick it on, let go too soon. This is now stuck to the board. They'll panic, they'll pull, they'll rip stuff. So don't use desolder wick. It's not needed. Oh, look at that now. Pain in the arse to get off, because this is now partially on. So, you know, that can be a problem. Then this could touch that, then you'd rip that off. So don't use desolder wick unless you have to. But in order to get bridges off, just super clean iron, and just literally warm up the pads, let go, clean the iron, repeat over and over. It can take 15 attempts. You'll just slowly remove more and more solder until it's gone, and then it'll work fine. Oh yeah, the battery power. Oh, this is really struggling at the minute, isn't it? With the cameras keep jerking and slowing down. Right, that's one. We'll test him. Yeah, the battery powered stuff, it's ridiculous. It's as good as a mains powered iron. There's like no limitations whatsoever with the fact it's battery powered for this iron, which is the problem that a lot of people presume it is, because that's the conception of, or the perception rather, of battery powered stuff, that it's not going to be as strong, whereas these JBCs are. Oh yeah, somebody's got wick left there. I'm not surprised. Like I say, I think especially, it's one of them jobs people just think, oh, it's a small, simple job, I'll do it. But they've never done anything like that before. So you've got to start somewhere though. You've got to try something, otherwise you're never going to learn anyway. But it's just all practice, all making mistakes and realising. Right, we'll give him a character called Rusty, maybe? Or no, we better call him Ash, hadn't we? What did you guys pick as your main Pokemon? Oh, they don't even... Yeah, oh yeah, the red and blue had red and blue. Let's give him blue. Nah, he's got to be Ash. It was yellow, because I only ever played yellow, so... I was all... Well, I did play red and blue, but my memories of yellow, so... I always call them, obviously, Ash and Gary. Call it fart. Oh, I've missed one of the messages. It's faded off already above, I think. I was watching you restore stuff, and yeah, nice. The just make sure you sub on YouTube or Twitch. There, the two main ones I stream on. Why is it giving an option Ash as the rival? That's weird. Gary. Yeah, what did you guys pick on your starter Pokemon? Because obviously Pikachu's no choice in yellow, so that was always mine. If I played red, obviously it ended up being... I think I used to play with Charmander. I'm sure we all did. Whereas blue, I think blue is the least popular, wasn't it? Just because, obviously, you didn't get Charmander, you didn't get a Charizard. And then this is the SNES there. I think, was it? Yeah, SNES, nice. Right, we better not drift too much in this, because we've got lots of work to do, and we've been streaming for an hour to do one battery swap so far. So that's that. Take it out, wait a few seconds. In fact, you don't even need to take it out the console, there's no power when you turn off. Oh yeah, you know, I never thought of that, using the analog pocket as like a backup device. It's quite a cool way of using it. I just use the Epilog player, is it called, to do the backup. Is the Game Boy Advance completed? Mine or that customer's? Mine. I've never, strangely enough, I've never played through Emerald ever. So I started playing through it. There we go, we got the save on that one. I played Yellow. Let's take a look at this Yellow now, see if it's real. I played Yellow as a kid. Probably played Red and Blue, but not much memory of it. Then I went on to Gold and Silver. I think I went on to Gold, but it was in Japanese. It wasn't even out in English when I played. So I played for 40, 50, 60 hours easy on that, trying to figure my way through Japanese text. Yeah, it's definitely fake. Well, I say it's fake, it's got the wrong screw in as well. The label's fake, now the screw is not the original. This is not looking hopeful. But yeah, after the Gold, I went on to N64 Stadium, funnily enough. Never played Emerald, so I now play... well, I am now playing through Emerald at the minute. But I keep getting busy and going back to Resident Evil games and stuff on and off, so I've still not made my way through. Wow, yeah, this is not holding hope for being a genuine cartridge. And this is even stuck in, which is a sign the circuit board's the wrong height. Oh yeah, fake as fake. We can battery swap this. The likelihood of this working though is not high, because what tends to happen on these fake boards is the chip on silicon here tends to fail. So this is more than likely not going to work, and it's nothing to do with the battery. Let's just check the battery first. Playing the RPG in Japanese and not being able to read anything. So, oh yeah, it's part of the reason why I kind of learned a bit of Japanese when I was young, primarily to try and understand Pokemon. But I've long since forgotten all my Japanese. I never got that far with it. Something like Watashi wa dai geksei ego ga wa karimasu ka, something along those lines. Is like, I don't know, something to do with a bookstore probably, and obviously introducing yourself. You just kind of have random, yeah, it's totally flat, random memories of random parts of the language. But I learned this when I was like 12 or 13, and there was no one around really to speak it. It was just so I could try and play Pokemon games. So I never really took it any further. I like learned quite a bit and then pretty much totally forgot the rest of it. Yeah, that's kind of a homage to why the logo's got the Japanese 6 on, because I've always liked the Japanese culture. So it's like a little hint to that. What's this soldered down with? See, this is one of those cages where I could see people maybe struggling to get this one out, because I think this may be soldered to the board in some way. Yeah, I'm not even sure what's going on with this one. This feels like we have it soldered to the board, even though it doesn't look like it. The one thing I think with Japanese, though, I thought it was honestly one of the most easiest languages to pick up, because it made sense. If that sounds, if that makes sense, I guess, to say that. That one was quite difficult to remove. Maybe that's why people struggle to remove them. That one is only them 2 pads, but that just didn't want to come off. I thought it was just very structural and obvious, and then when you look at English, you realise how ridiculous English is. That makes no logical sense, whereas I think that's the word I was probably looking for. Their language is logical. I think there was tabs going through the holes there, holding it into the board. I think that's why we were struggling to get it out. Right, let's put a battery on this anyway, for the sakes. We have no silk screen on this because it's a fake. So you on TikTok? Yeah, nice. It was. I used to be doing TikToks every day, pre-recorded vids. I just stopped having time for them and went into streaming after. But we're technically live on TikTok now. It's just, like I say, bans us all the time. So it's really hard to push TikTok. So ground on this is, I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's fun. That's one tab, that's another. I was going to say, where's it going? That's joining. So this is probably positive just because it's going to this chip, and this resistor will be a current limit for the positive side normally. So this is almost definitely ground, which goes to, you'd presume, here. Yeah, it's going through there, going off, big fat plane all the way around down to this pin. Yep, so that's got to be ground, and probably, if I hadn't lobbed the battery, we'd have known that, but I'm pretty sure that bit's ground. Right, so if that's the case, we need to make sure our ground, which is the underside here, is, so it was actually just pressing on that for making contact, which is pretty bad. We probably want to solder it. So we need to solder this tab to there, and then solder this tab to there. So what we can do is maybe, or we could pick another ground point, but considering it's fake and likely not going to work anyway, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Both of my pins are positive. In this, yeah, that cage was positive, just joining around, and this is the negative. We can find it out by just getting the, to be double sure, MB84. Let's pull up the MB84256. Let's just pull up the data sheet for that, and then we'll know for sure. That's that. Morning, welcome in. This space for fast everything completely and utterly be alright. Oh yeah, it's not that hard. It's like anything, isn't it? It looks a lot more difficult until you've done a bit of it. Yeah, so top pin there, VCC, which is where's my mouse? The top pin there. So this is VCC, goes through current limit resistor. So this is positive, that's ground. I could. I mean, the obvious thing is I bend this tab out of the way, or twist that tab, expose that pad there and solder to that, and then solder this to another ground. We could do this way, so that's a nice easy contact there. That's a good way. Snip that shorter or bend it down. So make a little leg like that. That can now go onto the positive. This is obviously the same pin, so we don't want to short it, so probably just twist it that way and send this to a ground point. I think that's the cleanest solution for now. There's loads of ways we could do it. I could try and get it underneath, but there's no point going that advanced for the sake of it. What I could do is warm solder up under there, have this tab cut off, pre-solder onto here, warm up, use hot air from the underside and melt it on. There's like, I could do trickery to get that battery soldered in, but then you're never going to remove that. You'd need the same level of skill then to remove it than to put it down. So let's do the simpler way so it's easier to see, and people can repair it themselves potentially in future. Plus this is, like I say, unlikely to be the cause of the failed save anyway, because this is a fake game. Any plans on USB-C on PS1? Yeah, it's one of the highest demanded things at the minute. I'm just, as always, flat out, and then every time I get a break, I seem to go and pop to a lodge with Rusty or go somewhere, so I keep getting myself behind again. Where's this ground? So the bottom pin of that, but is there one closer anywhere? Nope. Oh, right there. Ground. Okay, so I wonder if we can get to that tab. Positive there. Yes, look at that. Ah, there's where the battery's going. Perfect. So positive onto this one, which is here. There we go, that's positive tacked on. Now let's twist him over the top of there. Might as well get him on fully now, I guess. Like so, that's positive. Negative is underneath, and technically negative is touching on this trace here, but this has got silk screen over, so the underside of the battery is already probably touching that enough, but it's touching this, but this is covered, so it's not going to be conductive. Otherwise we'd have a problem. But now I can bend that down, solder it to there, and that's the soldered in ground then. We just need to make sure it doesn't go over that lip, so it's got to be slightly angled. Fill that with solder. Fill this with solder. Pre-tinned. And then push down. Solder on. There we go. That's the strangest way of connecting a battery ever, but with it being fake, this is the way we do it. So that's now on and soldered in. Very easy to see where it is. And I presume also correct voltage. So ground voltage. There we go, 3.3. So full battery, but whether this works, like I say, fake game, so often, not always, but often it's nothing to do with the battery on fake games. It's usually the chip failing, but this, for the positive side of things, did have a flat battery, so we might be in luck here. And I'm also presuming this is why that battery barely fit in before. Yeah, we're going to have a fitment issue there. Might have to nudge him down more. That's why it was hard to get this case on and off in the first place. We're going to have to, I think, be not quite as clean and twist this battery out and use a wire to bridge that, because it's going to hit the plastic of the case. So let's turn him around like so, so he's out of the way, and then we just have to wire to there. So not quite as clean, but fitment issue is the reason we've got to do this. Let's make that a bit smaller. Yeah, I could use a smaller one, but we're probably not going to have much more luck there, because the ground pad in here is that big. It'll probably end up touching. I don't know. It could do. Plus, it's a lot less juice, so we might as well fit the bigger one, because we can make it fit. It's just an extra wire, so goes on there, and then bend this around and solder to the tab. There we go. So now we should fit in the shell. Not quite as neat, but if we don't do that, then we can't close the lid, because basically this bit of plastic hits, and you can still see that's close, but the original was hitting. That's why it was so hard to get the cover off as well. Well, not the original, the original fake battery. There we go. Closed it in. Either way, we'll close this up, because it either works or it doesn't. With it being a fake game, there's not much else we can do. There we go. And let's see now. In fact, let's just zoom that one out, and let's see if yellow works. Well, it worked obviously loading. Let's see if it saves. I was about to say if I got a dead pixel on my Game Boy, but see that tiny green pixel there right on my fingernail? I don't know whether it'll come through on encoding. It's a single bad sensor, pixel on the sensor on this camera. Right, and my favourite Pokemon, Yellow. So we're going to obviously pick Ash and Gary for the names, which are defaults. And we could play it expanded, yeah, play it square. My name is Ash. Oh, corrupt graphics. Again, not much we can do about that with it being a fake game. That'll be the game. It's a sign the chip is starting to fail on the fake game, so we'll see. They definitely need to buy themselves a real Pokemon Yellow though. Shouldn't be owning a fake one of the best one. Right, and same again. In fact, for this one, let's go downstairs. Let's talk to Mum. Set the time. In fact, we don't even set the time in Yellow, do we? Let's go fight. I probably shouldn't have done this now. We've got to wait for the whole Professor Oak intro. yeah, all the graphics are corrupt on this cart, unfortunately. It's mainly the sprite loading. What's the price of them now? I used to sell them quite a lot. They were like all the, well, in fact, I've just sold 11 copies of Pokemon Blue and Red in bulk to somebody. I sold them at like £20 each. Yeah, so made a bit of a loss, but yeah, so not too bad. I think it's just Emerald's gone ridiculous, hasn't it? Emerald's like, well, last time I looked, Emerald was 160 boxed. I bet it's way more now. I've got a fully complete in box Emerald as well. I had loads of them, but I sold. I've got a games room full of all the boxed ones. 130 loose. No way. Well, I've got like 2 or 3 copies of it, so there's my copy loose, and then I've got a full complete in box one. Yeah, I used to sell them about, to be honest, probably 3 years ago. I used to sell. There we go. Let's save. I used to sell complete in box for 120 Emerald, and then while we were buying and selling them, every month they were changing, and then within about 6 months I was selling them complete in box then for 160 was the last time I'd sold them complete in box, about 2 years ago. And I've still got one now, like I say. So hopefully this has got the save on, and if so then it's working bar the graphics, which there's nothing we can do about with it being a fake one. Oh no, so this is unfortunately just because it's a fake thing. Let's see if I can actually get hold of Zach. He's still not showed up yet, as per usual. You tell me lost at some point over the years, so box up in Metroid. See, I don't think I've got Metroid 2. I never played Metroid that much. Yeah, I'm guessing they're worth more than 130 now. Right, so we've got to do gold and silver now. So, we'll do gold first. Why have I got 1 battery left when I thought I'd got 2? Have I binned one of my own batteries by mistake? Yeah, no. Let's get into this. Oh, wow, yeah, 2 to 400 complete in box. I've got tons of extra copies as well. Of, I think, like Fire Red and Leaf Green. I've got like 5 copies of them. It says this one's a genuine, so we shouldn't have issues with this. Let's whip him off. Let's try and do this a bit faster. Because now I've got to get, what we'll have to now jump on is a Master System sending, because that was what Zach was meant to be on, but he's not turning up bad looks of it. So I'll have to jump on that one after these. That one gone. Positive that way, so bend that down. You go on there. Crystal's more expensive, no way. I'll have to have a look at my games room. I don't know what I've got. Oh no, he is coming in, cool. Just insanely late, the usual. There's one person that's worse at timekeeping than me, it's Zach. Why does this feel like I've done this the wrong way around? I'm sure I normally put the ground tab on the floor. Yeah, I do. Putting this in up. So not that it matters, it works both ways. Goes in that way. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a look at them, and I know I've got for a fact Fire Red, Leaf Green. I think I had a complete Japanese collection because they were cool. The Japanese games come in like tiny boxes because they used to be in like vending machines and stuff. You could just buy them. I just thought they were really cool. I had a full set of all Pokemon games in Japanese, but when I had the physical stores, some customer brought the whole collection for the partner, and I kind of didn't want to sell them because I know I technically brought them for the store, but I wanted them, and I was really reluctant to allow him to buy them, but I think I know I did in the end because they're not in my cabinet anymore. But I kind of regret selling that because I just loved the look of them. They're just so cool, and they were all mint, like absolute fresh minty condition. And it was a complete yellow, red, blue, crystal, gold, silver, like a full collection. It was really nice. Right, so now let's see if gold works. 842. What is $842? That's insane. Let's see if this saves. Now gold is the one that actually uses the real-time clock as well. Wow, I need to clean my Game Boy. We'll set it to actually. What time are we? Let's go back. Let's set this right because close enough. Closer to 11 than 10. Oh, of course. Damn it. Oh well, it's going to be 8 minutes out. I was going to say, because there's save, we might want to set it right. Crystal, that is ridiculous. I'm going to have to see if I've got crystal. I might well have. Marvel. It was the one thing that was cool about playing Pokemon in Japanese when I was playing Gold as a kid, and then I finally got it pretty much not far off now when I was an adult and got it in English, is I never knew the names of all these Pokemon, and obviously then when I started playing Gold in English I was like, oh no way. I used to give them names myself, and then discovering that they weren't called the names I give them. Like the Anons in the cave, which were unknowns, weren't they? I'm pretty sure it was just unknown. It was obviously, that's the way you name Pokemon, and just take a letter out and instead of a Caterpillar it's Caterpie and stuff like that. So unknown was obviously meant to be unknown. But yeah, I come up with random names for them myself. No idea what they obviously were called in Japanese at the time. Pikachu I knew because I'd played Yellow, but the baby Pichu, I was just amazed when I saw it. I was like, no way Pikachu can evolve, and I can't remember to this day whether he is still classed as it does evolve or not. I really should know that. Or whether Pichu was just like, because obviously Pichu doesn't evolve into Pikachu, I don't think, does he? Because it was obviously meant to be like the earlier stages, very clearly, but I don't know whether that's whether that still holds up in the storyline. Like, is Pichu meant to be something that does evolve into Pikachu, or was it just his own Pokemon? But I thought Pichu was ace. Like when I saw him in Gold, that was well good. There we go. That's all saved. So we've just got now Silver. And this will be a win for the exception of the Fate game. And then, to be honest, I'll probably still jump on the Master System because it's going to need the oscilloscope to set up. But I will make I'm nailing coffee at the minute. I'm going to make a third coffee in a minute. I don't know what's happened to my battery though. I got 3 batteries out for the large games, and I've got none left. So I don't know what I've done with. I think I've accidentally binned the working battery, so I'll have to grab another one. So that. This is definitely not on my desk. I've definitely thrown it. I can get you the Japanese game you want later. Oh yeah, nice. I might well do. I am tempted. To be honest, you could even try get me a price if you wanted just a full. Again, I presume they all come in them mini boxes. I love them. I wouldn't mind a complete collection. Pokemon trading card game, and all the Pokemons like red, blue, green. Green's ace. Red, blue, green, yellow, gold, silver. I'm not too fussed after that point, but yeah, I might be interested in getting them games again. I kind of wish I hadn't sold them. That's another game I'd highly recommend if you haven't played. Pokemon trading card game. I've completely replayed that about a month ago. I just love it. I don't know why. It's again memories of childhood. 4 golds. People thought Mallow was an evolution of Pikachu, and oh yeah, Pika-Blue. Actually, I was just about to say I don't remember that. I remember the Pika-Blue thing. I can remember that. Yeah, Pokemon trading card game, just ace. I love playing it. I like the music. Dun 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 dun. Not doing it justice, but just chill. Just sit there while it's dealing the cards and listening to them shuffle, and you're literally playing Pokemon trading card. And this was around the time when obviously Pokemon trading cards were still pretty much brand new. We were up to like Fossil Deck and stuff. But I love that game. Probably only takes about 7-8 hours now to complete for me, which it felt like an eternity when you were a kid, but it's got replayability anyway. That's that one on. Trading card game 2. I didn't even know there was one. Right then, eBay, time to buy. Is it a genuine one? I did not know there was a trading card 2. Pokemon trading card game 2. No. Oh, you are joking. I had that and sold it. I've literally just sold that to a guy I've sold all my games to. In a tub. I never even thought that was 2. I thought it was 1. Are you joking? I sold that for like £3 just in a batch of all the games. I honestly had that game. I know the label. I thought it was trading card 1. Oh yeah, fan translation though. Do I buy the original and then flash a fan translation onto a cartridge, or even make my own? Oh yeah, it's just like, is it actually 2? Because that is exactly the same as 1. Like the character and the visual. I need it in English though, really. So I'd be playing. And I've had that. Is that 2 or 1? I can say that's 1 as well. Yeah, I've had the Japanese ones. I probably should have noticed the difference, because I've got both. I've seen both of them. I don't know whether. See, the only thing I'm tempted with that, let me think on that one a minute, is I could buy the original, so I've got the original cart, and then either make or just use a flashable cartridge and put the translation in the original cartridge. That'd be cool. But no, I need that game now. That's wicked. I can't believe I got rid of it. I haven't got any lying around. I've got the Odd Few game randomly lying around under this desk. Doesn't happen to be one, does it? I've got a genuine yellow I could offer the customer potentially. Mario Land, normal stuff. You watch, I'd laugh if I found it in here. No, an Easy Flash. Metroid. Oops. Oh yeah, Metroid 2. Is that the one you're on about, complete in box? I've got what looks like Pokemon. Do we reckon that's Pokemon Blue in Japanese? I would say that's Pokemon. No, it can't be Blue. Sapphire maybe, because it's on GBA. Not there. I don't know why I'm looking for it in vain hope. Can't imagine it being under here. I need to have a quick word with the gardeners in a second as well. Try to be as quick as possible. Or I can maybe try calling 1 sec. Have we checked this one saves? We haven't, have we? Let me check this saves now. Let me just call the gardener up. See if we can do it on the phone, or whether I've got to pop out a sec. I told you today was going to be manic. I don't know how long ago that was, because my phone's got no signal.
It has not been possible to connect your...
Of course not. Try again in a second. Yeah, I'm going to be on the hunt now for that game. Distractions. Got more games here. Nope, none of colours. I've got lots of Pokemon games on. See, there's me. Got Pokemon Gold in Japanese as well again. Which I don't remember it being a blue case. Is this a different case? Anybody remember? Because I don't remember my Japanese Gold as a kid being in a blue case. I might have been, but I don't remember it. No, I'm out of luck on that Pokemon colour. I definitely sold that. Oh well, maybe we get it in a fan translation in an original case or something. Right, what are we doing? Oh, try call the gardener again in a minute. And if not, I'll pop out, do that, and grab a coffee. Oh, there we go, it's ringing. One sec, I'll just mute this while I have a chat. Right, let's see if this saves. The lower screen is flashing. Oh, I might have missed a message here. The lower screen is flashing. I tried adjusting the small screw at the back, but no difference. On DS's, I presume that'll be, with it being a lower screen. I know, vague memory, the screen detectors based on a resistor that's just low, like the screen's current is what tells it whether the screens are connected. I don't know, that's top and bottom. But by the sounds of it flashing, you're more referring to the data on the screen appearing and disappearing, I'm going to guess. So I'd say that's probably just the LCD data pins. So maybe a bad ribbon, bad connector. It could be a bad power circuit where you'll have, on the TFTs, you'll have like a negative voltage, like minus 17 volts or something that generates the contrast, and if that fails, it'd disappear. You're probably just best posting a video though on our Discord of it actually happening, because explaining it versus seeing the actual issue are two different things. So like, it's much easier to see an LCD failing than go off a description. It could be something totally different. Right, let's see if this one's saved. Oh, there's a re-PCB as well. We've got building there one chip. I need to do that as well. There, big bro, got your order coming through. Need them cap kits. Let me just pull them up where they are. SP screen with the red tint. It's probably there we go. There's them caption needed. It's probably going to be LCD ribbon unless you've swapped the ribbon out, or it could be the console not sending a certain thing. It all depends what's causing that issue. Needed 4 of them. There's a bunch for you there. I think they'll do. 1500 microfarad 10 volt. Let me just double check the message. See if it was that. Yeah, just, well, either way, that's the only, I think that's the only 1500s I've got either way. I don't think I've got higher voltage. I've got lower voltage. 1.5 millifarad, which is the same thing. So 1.5 millifarad is 1500 microfarad. So these will probably just say that on them anyway. Yep, so they're just lower voltage. I'll chuck you a few of them in just in case as well. So got them. Right then, that's them out the way. Games. What's this one?
Oh, it's got what you call it, like issues on the graphics of it, I think.
Do you want to have a look at? Is it just like he's looking at this one?
Yeah.
I'll just look at that.
It's probably just going to be chips. Or
Yeah, I've got another thing I can look at. Did we have a message I've missed on stream? I heard the noise but can't see anything. We got one other look at here. That is, let's make sure we're giving away no details. Yeah, so this one, it's probably similar to that fake game. Done soldering before, swap battery, but this is definitely out of my league. I know the battery doesn't. I know I said it doesn't need replacing, but think a poor job. So yeah, he's had a go at that, but it sounds like there's some glitches on this. Let's just take a look. Let's get this. Let's see what we're dealing with. Oh, it's like even the Nintendo logo, has that just failed to load? Have you had this loading?
yeah.
Yeah, so just a bit dirty for start with. Yeah. I bet it's going to be the exact same as the other one, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, proper yeah, it's normally when the... that's normally the ROM bad, isn't it? And it's not English either, so we're not going to be able to swap it. Alright, so that's the issue anyway. Let's see if there's anything we can do. Oh, battery holder for GBO. Right then. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure what I think of the soldering. I think he's already attempted this. Or have you already reflowed this or anything?
Yeah, reflowed.
Oh yeah, so we'll be us doing that. Yeah, so we've reflowed this already, so the soldering's going to be fine. The memory bank controller could be faulty. That's the only hope. If this is faulty, to switch between banks, it might not be switching to the right bank for the graphics, which would explain it. And these, you can technically take off other games. It could also be trace damage. Yeah, you'll have that shipped today, and then you'll get it. It should get it tomorrow with those bits in. You'll be the first person to get that Amiga CD32 cap kit. I've not even put it on the website yet. I've still got to list it, so. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so there's no obvious issues with soldering, but I don't know, they just hot swap this off another cartridge. But It's kind of still a problem because I think you can only get these on mostly Pokemon games. If anybody wants to search up what games the MBC5 chip's on, but I'm just going to use mine wherever it was. Yeah. Just to prove if it's that or not. That battery holder, yeah, you can do. It's, these are just, you'll find these on AliExpress, to be honest, just slimline plastic holders. But what this has done is put a thinner 1616 in instead of the larger one. So you've lost a bit of capacity, but at least you can swap it yourself. We can also measure the voltage on that. We'll come to that after. But I'm just going to open mine up and, well, check mine works first. And then we'll put that memory bank controller on, because if it's the RAM, we can get this off another game. We can get this off another game. We can get this off another game. But all of these, I think that maybe I can source independently. These two have got to come off a game, and this we just don't have because it's not English. So this is fixable, but it's going to cost. This is probably the cheapest fix. This is a no fix. So, but my guts tell me it's going to be that memory bank controller. And then if we can find a memory bank controller off a cheap game, then it's going to not cost the customer as much. So we just want to check. Mine doesn't have that issue with graphics. Didn't mean to continue. I meant to go on to new so I could actually check those graphics are fine. Can we send things for you to fix? Yep, just go to retro6.co.uk and then send in service. That's what all these are, by the way. Like, everything I do is actual customers' work. It's not something else. These are all customers' repairs that have sent in. Alright, so if the Pokemon appears, yes, there you go. So this one's fine. So let's swap the memory bank controller over. I mean, to be honest, just before that, I could probably have a quick look that we don't have any obvious trace damage. And it could be under chips, but it's maybe worth quickly looking at. I didn't really pay any attention for potentially bad traces. And the traces could be under the chips as well, that you'd have to lift all the chips off to see. Nothing standing out there. Wow, this is oh, there you go. Brighter. Yeah, Pokemon Zelda, they're all just as expensive, really. So it's more than likely going to be, either way, it's going to be like £30–40 more, because that's the cheapest one of them games you can get, and once you take that chip off, the game's as good as useless. So it's just really proving if they want it fixing. If it's got sentimental value, then £30 isn't a problem. If it's just a play, it's going to make it pointless. So customers, I better just put a pink dot on the customers so we don't get mixed up. Keep their shell that side. I've lost my green pen as well. Can no longer mark anything green, it can only be purple. I'm going to put, this will probably wear off, I know it's still purple, but I'm going to put R6 on our case just so we don't ever accidentally mix up these cases. Yeah, that's nice, that is chalk. Oh, all over my finger as well. Right, so get ours out. Let's take the memory bank controller off. Probably put a bit of flux on just to clean the natural pins on the chip. small to grab. Taking baby cap with it. I'll put him back on with soldering iron. They won them last night, did they?
What,
Yeah. Or did they not?
yeah,
I just saw it. Your mum had it on. It was on. They were losing straight away, weren't they? And I was like, oh, I should have put a bet on. And then, good job I didn't, because they ended up winning. Did you bet on them or not?
no.
That's that one on. So not the straightest, maybe straighten him up a little bit. Oh, this is. Go straight enough for the connections. Gun was on was on 480, but I wouldn't normally put it on 480 on a small board like this. I'd probably drop it to 400. That's what I was just doing, beeping it, but you'll be fine at 480 anyway. It won't do anything. It just it works a lot faster. Right, so that in there. To cool it off. Just saves waiting around. And then let's see if this works. And the problem is, like I say, if it does, then this is going to be about a £30 fix on top, basically whatever it costs us for the Pokemon game, or the cheapest game we can buy, and then obviously the labour's free. It didn't take 2 seconds, so they get the labour for free. Let's see if this is now worked. Nope, not even working now. Try that again. Might just be bad soldering on that chip as well. Let's double check the soldering. Didn't really inspect it much. I'm pretty sure the memory bank control is the same as well. Looks okay. Strange. It's not different revisions of I mean, it's obviously not the same silk screen, but there's nothing wrong with that soldering. Just swap it back with the customers. Thing is with these old chips as well, sometimes just removing them is enough to stop them working. So we might have just had bad luck there, and this memory bank controller has died coming off, or traces are fine underneath. Just put the customers back on. But I don't think there's different revisions of that. Maybe there is though. We'll know by putting it back on my game anyway to see if it... let's chuck the other one back on my game in a minute while we wait for that to cool. See if it works back on the original. I'm guessing that maybe says something about U4 in the console repair. I'm not sure what that says, to be honest. Gonna guess something like a common fault is U4 is dead, maybe. That's back on ours. So that's now, we'll be able to check if that's just died taking it off. Morning, welcome in. How to recover the U4 IC from console that is burned. Which console are we talking about? And so, ours can cool down. Customers has got his chip back on. Let's see where this has got us. Game Boy Advance U4. Oh, interesting, so the customers now isn't loading at all. Just since taking that off. Kind of flickers. Right, so we've got now, his doesn't work at all, so that means I presume this on ours is still going to work. Yeah, so even if it was that chip, just taking the chip on and off, the customers is not booting now. So that's either an indication that, yeah, file data is destroyed because we've obviously warmed up the... In fact, this might not even save game, so I don't even know. But that's... Let's just check if the sprites to work. Yeah, cool. So ours is fine. Customers is faulty from just literally hot airing one chip on and off. So what that normally suggests is maybe a broken trace that was weak, or a weak IC that's now died, which could have been the underlying cause of why the graphics were corrupt already. It's on the way out, and heat's just been enough to finish it off. So let's just first take a look that nothing else obvious has happened in that area. U4 on the GBA, I think, is the power regulator. There's no replacement yet for that. I haven't made a clean power for it, but there we go. It might not be U4, it might be the transistors, is what it normally is. The transistors below U4 are what normally die. Right, so we know this is on, and I could swap that between mine and prove if this is fine, but that doesn't really help us anyway. Resistor's fine. Battery's fine. There's not much in that area, so... And nothing looks broken. And the swapper's pretty fast as well, so there's not... I wouldn't suspect trace damage. I'm just suspecting more so, probably. I'd say like this RAM chip or even this chip, just getting slightly warm has been enough to stop it loading potentially. Like it's pushed it past the edge. I doubt it's that. Although sometimes these can fail and stop the system loading. So it might be worth me just taking this off just to test. I've known this a couple of times where this fails. Or are you on about this U4 on the game, not the console? If U4 dies this, you can't buy them spare. Again, it has to come off another cartridge. And we've had this a few times. So that's another thing it could be. Let's see. Yeah, so something's gone worse. Let's take a look. Have they paid for game doesn't work on this? Yeah, they have. In fact, I'm just going to take everything off. I'm going to get this battery off and not reuse it. I'm just going to use one of our batteries. I've watched you live for 100 minutes now. How long have I been on? 2 hours? Yeah, you've been on for nearly all of it. That's everything off. Let's clear all the flux off. All the solder off rather, and let's inspect all this properly. Oh yeah, I definitely think, I was thinking about this the other day, that in one way, a lot of stuff now is getting more expensive as well, so people also want to repair a bit more than they do chuck away. But yeah, there's what you're going to have as a look back on in history for digital stuff. Once it goes offline, it's gone forever, so you know, what are you going to have as memories? I think the physical stuff will come back at it. I think there'll be, you know, a lot of stuff will go back to physical versus digital. got the PCB completely stripped and cleaned so we can inspect it properly. Let's have a look at this under the scope now. And we're looking for, I mean, we could use multimeter to test, but let's just do a visual first. This doesn't matter because all these are cut out. These are probably test points or a way when they manufacture it to test continuity rapidly, and then they cut this out after. It's an old school way of doing it. So all this kind of rot here makes no difference because they don't go anywhere. So you can ignore all of this internal stuff. These need to be good though. And again, continuity is the way to test. But just a quick visual first, more so than anything. Nothing immediately stands out. If it is trace damage, we'll find it by just probing, because there's not that many pins on this. We can test everywhere on this fairly quickly. I've got a feeling, based on the corruption, it's just one of the chips failing, and just pure coincidence that slight bit of extra heat has finished one of the chips off. More so, maybe this one. But the other check we could do, if we want to know if we're dealing with, which is probably worth doing. What I'll do is take my working board, this is my working one, and let's just transplant the customer's chips over. For how easy it is, I'm just going to do them all in one go. This will just be a quick way to tell us whether the customer's chips are good or the board. It's just a rapid way to diagnose this, just because of how simple the boards are. So I'm just going to literally transplant every one of the customer's chips over onto this board and then see if it works. And we could do it just maybe 2 chips at a time. I'll do these 2 and then I'll do the other 2. Oh yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. Wouldn't be the first to. No, they'd struggle to do anything with retro stuff by using modern trademarks, to be honest. Right, so that's 2 of the customer's chips here on our working board. Probably should have kept that little fan on, because we want to be doing this quick. We've only got about 20 minutes of labour. Paid for on this job. This is not an expensive job at all. You know, the customers don't pay much for this at all, so it's like we wouldn't normally go this far in repairing. Plus I'm slower on stream, so I want to try and speed this up. If this still works, those 2 chips of the customers are good, which was my original suspicion, that the memory bank controller was bad. So in one way, if I was right, then it's going to be corrupt on our English game. No, so that's fine. So those 2 chips are good. Next 2 we will just do, I'll do it one at a time now because there's only 2 chips left. If we swap both and it fails, we're going to have to take one off again and swap another one back on, so it's more work than doing this one at a time. And then if all these chips work, we know we're dealing with, we have to be dealing with a bad PCB, and then if there's no obvious breaks, it might be like the fact it doesn't like to load from the cartridge every time. If you notice, you get like the corrupt graphics and we have to insert and remove. It could be that the traces along this edge here are fractured, and that's going to be difficult-ish to repair. We might just give the customer this PCB in that instance and remake the PCB, or to see if anyone's already remade the PCB for this and use that, because this is only my test cartridge really. Oh, welcome in from West Virginia. Oh yeah, we're all I've done so far is a few battery swaps. Been on for 2 hours and done like 5 battery swaps. It's about 5 minutes work, but we've done some side quests and gone down a few rabbit holes as always. Blowing the chip on the floor. Try not to do that. And that's that. So now, if this still works, I think this, if anything, would be the bad chip. This was the closest to the heat, and this would maybe then explain why it didn't work. If not, we're almost definitely dealing with, there you go, oh no, I thought it was that. We're going to almost definitely be dealing with trace rot then, I'd say. Let's get to the Pokemon sprites as well. Let's just make sure they are still okay. Yep, so his chips are all okay. We've got one left, which is the main game ROM. This is what actually stores the game data. So this is going to convert our English game into Spanish now. And we're almost definitely going to melt that plastic on the battery, but we don't care for now. This is my game. We may not if I work quick enough, but my guess is I'm going to melt that plastic. And then, to be honest, I could just keep the chips off the Pokemon Yellow game, off ours, just loose, because they'll come in handy for repairs. Like, I don't really need the Pokemon Yellow on the circuit board. It's like I say, it's just a test game. It's only ever going to be used for instances like this where customers might want replacement memory bank controllers or things. So kind of just a waste of time putting my chips back on. There goes that plastic I said would melt. In fact, that's getting in the way of the game. Let me take this battery off, because that's literally getting in the way of me fitting this version of the chip on. It's actually slightly taller than mine, so that actually does need to come off. There we go, now it wants to sit in place. Maybe that's why the customers use that smaller battery. Maybe the Spanish one's slightly taller. Jazz music, not so much. More blues. Going a bit. Ooh, that battery was hot. Yeah, more blues so than jazz and Motown and stuff like that. The only jazz I've probably heard is when if you ever watch House MD and he plays some jazz on there. That's probably the extent of my my listening of it. I don't listen to music that much, to be honest. I'm not much of a casual music listener. I don't just sit there and listen. I don't have the radio on in the car. I just drive in silence. Right, let's cool this off. And then I think if this works, I'm going to just give the customer this PCB with a fresh battery, keep my chips as donors, and we could always probe around this after looking for a trace rot, but it's not that exciting and it's not that obvious. There's nothing visually broken looking at that, so it's just going to be a case of probe around with a multimeter, happen to find the problem, and we've solved nothing that important. yeah, so his circuit board is, circuit board, it could just be, could have had a hairline join under one of the chips that removing it's now solved. There you go. So we are now in Spanish. Let's see if the, yep, cool. So I don't know, let's just chuck mine back on this for the sake of it. So if we put these back on and everything works, then it was just, what normally happens then is you could have a hairline join under one of these that you couldn't see, and maybe then reflowing this has moved the join and stopped it booting. So let's just do that. Bit more fun than just using a multimeter to probe for a break. Hot air time again. Zoom in a bit here. Ooh, nice, thanks for becoming it. And now, is that a member or no? Renewed, I was going to say. Pretty sure you're obviously already a member. 8 months. Ooh, one behind Big Bro. I think Big Bro's probably the first sub. How'd you ever find the order of subs? I think we've got on Twitch like the first 10 ever subs are like linked in some way, so that at some point we can do something special with like the first 10 people. So one annoying thing with using a silicone mat, it bubbles up when you heat it up. So what I'm going to do, that's why I've got these. Perfect use case for these PCB stands. Ooh, he says I've knocked a cap off doing that. The cap was that warm, I've knocked him off while I was doing it. So just use these PCB stands instead, and then the board can't move, and I can nudge and probe things. Ow, just burnt my finger. I can nudge and probe these without it moving around and slipping and sliding on the silicon. Yes, that's that. Hey, thanks. Yeah, business is it's picking back up now. It's been pretty bad for I don't know, a month or two. I haven't taken wage for the last 3 pay runs, but luckily I do software and have other business avenues and things as well. So you know, I'm not struggling, but the retro slowed down for the first time in a good while, a long while. Probably last month, and picked up again now as of about 5 days ago, and we seem to be back to normal. So luckily I've got that bit of flexibility when, if the retro slows down, it's not like it's a problem for me as such, because I've got other businesses, and as I've always said, this business is more about the pleasure than the money. So we make sure we enjoy what we do when we're doing the retro, and we're not like making bad decisions because of money, or trying to sell things for too much money, because it's not even though it's about making money in business, this isn't really the profit making business in a sense. This is the enjoyable one. Oh yeah, I always think it's maybe the sun or something, like, you know, the good weather. But yeah, the wars aren't helping either. Plus, we're international; we sell all around the world, so any politics or anything going on in different countries can affect sales more than you notice in the UK. And I don't follow the politics, so that doesn't help either. I don't really know what's going on when things go on. Right, so now we have my hybrid English Pokemon on. Oh, I've melted my stand. So these stands. Oh, or is that just? Oh no, I think that's protective cover I was meant to have taken off when I bought these things. Oh yeah, I've never taken off the protective cover. There you go, maybe I should do that. I thought there was something like, I just presumed they were a bit melty or something, but yeah, never taken off that protective layer. There we go. The haircut, yeah. I still think this hairdo's coming back around. I've been styling it since I was about 17. It's changed a little bit, but generally it's the spikes I think people look at. But it's, I'm going to ride it out until it comes back in fashion. Right, now we've got our English Pokemon on a Spanish board, which, oh yeah, it does actually say on this one CR1616. So this was designed for a smaller one, that's why this wouldn't fit with that other chip on. Well, let's see if this works. If this works, then it was just a hairline join under some chip. If it doesn't work, it's the PCB. Which stands, I think they're a Hako stand, but this isn't an official Hako one. I don't think they didn't have them in stock. So you'll get these on like AliExpress and stuff. And if you just type PCB stand holder, they're just like a heavy weight, and you can adjust this and then move the stand height up and down. I don't use them that much, but they're useful for stuff like that. Had a buddy give you a 2A6 with an old but will. Ooh, yeah. So one of the chips on this is definitely dying. Hang on, no, it isn't. These are my chips. So the PCB is definitely bad. Because there's nothing else on there. So there's like a hairline fracture on this PCB somewhere, basically. So one of these won't be good, and I don't think I can be bothered to find it. Let's have a quick glance, but I'm just going to use these chips anyway, like I say, for donors. Not that fussed about trying to find. Whoa, too bright. Stay down a bit. There we go. Yeah, like I said, this is my game, so I only really care about keeping the chips working, which we know they work. But let's just have a quick look. Can you not put Kapton tape over the plastic chip? Over the battery thing? Yeah, I could have. It won't help too much. Kapton tape only really doesn't really do that much, to be honest. Everyone uses it, but it doesn't. You're better using like an aluminium tape bridge. But when I was taking off the chips, it was my board anyway, and I've got spare batteries, so it just wasn't worth doing. Right, so very quick look to see if we can find any suspect looking traces. In fact, I took all the chips off and never bothered looking underneath the chips, did I? I put everything back on. A lot of market for repairs. Well, I don't know. Not massive. Not like, 16 people sitting repairing all day long on retro stuff. It's but you can get your smallish companies repairing. You just got to get the reputation and build it up. There's more of a more of a business in generic repairs, like when we used to do random stuff, car headlights and stereos and all that. There's tons of work. We had to end it within months because we were just getting flooded with work. But retro stuff, there's enough, but nothing crazy, I don't think. Zoom in on this a bit more. And we know this fracture's susceptible to heat as well, because all we've done different is warm the board up and things, and it's changing the behaviour. So it's more than likely going to be one of these vias is like bad but doesn't look it on this chip. So yeah, I'll just keep these chips on and we'll swap this board with a reproduction board for us, I think, and send the customer our board. It's more than likely going to be these, I'd say, like a fracture on one of these somewhere that doesn't look obvious, but nothing's standing out. And like I say, I'm not that bothered about fixing that because it's our board. So customers can go back into his case. Just needs a battery on and that can go. Should work now on my board. And it just needs a battery. That's the screw. Yeah, that's it. That's all good. That's the lots can go. Whoa, that's not a master system that I can't. What next? Do you reckon this master system get this out of the way? Probably want that before the links, don't we? Yeah. So that needs to go. Oh yeah, no, I don't think many people do it as, like I say, a professional living, bar being one-offs, like one-man bands, if you will, just individuals doing it. So the battery had gone flat then. There we go. So this one now is bad PCB. I'm going to put on here, just so we know. Bad PCB, and then I can always replace that in the future if we want. And then the customer's now got a working game. This one. In fact, you can put that holder back on if you want as well. Just put in a new battery in there. I'll pop the battery out, put that on there. Do that. Oh, this Donkey Kong one's dead now. Just randomly died midstream for no reason. I've swapped the batteries, fit that. So it doesn't really want to strip it and put a clean screen in. That's the screen itself is dead there for some reason. Yeah, I've lost my green mark. Oh no, I have. Have you got the green mark? Did they give you a green mark? A vague memory maybe give you. No, the pink mark. Yeah, I don't know what I did with that. I kind of remember doing something with it, but I can't remember exactly what. It's nowhere to be seen. I used it for something. Yeah, it's gone. Right, let's clean up and then we'll get on to oh yeah, V4s. All these are V4s. That's what I was trying to get to as well. So all these are this is one where I've been playing with the splash screen. I put like a massive splash screen of no, brightness is there. Get it right now. Wow, that's not very bright. That's probably got old code or something running on it. But yeah, you can just about, oh there you go. That's me like testing splash screens. This one has just got a game in. So yeah, the V4 is out with the fancy on-screen menu. And it was part of the goal on this stream was meant to be to try and release the official next version of the software, but I'm not going to get time, I don't think. I'll do that off stream, because now we've got to do a master system with a clean comp universal, so we'll jump on that. I'm just going to grab a coffee first. So back in 2 seconds, and we'll jump on a master system. Is this? Have you tested this work? Oh no, you can't. Can you do? Sorry, just do the clean comp mod first. Okay, I've got something else instead. Mini side quest again. This is a bad name for a company as well, in my eyes. What you gives it away there, but calling a company that to me is like, what would you think I'm opening here? It's not going to be what you think. Well, if it wasn't for this, yeah, I just think that's a funny company name. Video out on Game Gear. I'll try and get to it this weekend. In theory, it should work. It just needs to pass through. Funnily enough, it can pass through a clean RGB if it works. So it's if we get time for it. So this is what happens when you go to Italy and have basil, and then you come back to England and nothing like it. So let's see. Yeah, that's nicer. So I went on a whole thing with I had like the tomato and basil stuff, like the caprese and can't even think of the other one, like basically where you get buffalo mozzarella. Should have just seen a little spider wandering around then on my plant. Unless I've just eaten them. So I had basil in Italy, it was dead nice. Like just tomato and basil, and then come back to the UK, brought it, and there's absolutely no taste in it whatsoever. So I searched online for what the difference is, and you need to get, I think this is called sweet basil. The problem with all the supermarket basil is it's just grown in hydroponics, and there's basically no taste. There's all smell and no taste. So I've hunted for a place in the UK that grows them naturally in soil and stuff, and that's got way more taste. Like it's, because if you're going to have them with like tomato, still not as much taste as Italy. That one's quite strong actually as well. It's not the same. Yeah, I don't know. Probably as close to Italian basil, but they grow different varieties, so I can buy a few different ones and try. But yeah, that's one thing I haven't managed to get as nice yet, is the actual Italian basil, because obviously it's grown in a different climate. So and all the supermarkets, they sell shit basically is the problem. It smells ace, but if you actually eat it, there's no taste to it whatsoever. Yeah, I'll try and get on to the Game Gear stuff if I can. I don't know how far we're going to get today, but the Game Gear stuff was on my list. Oh yeah, I grew some myself. I've got a veg plot being filled back up at the minute. I am tempted to retry growing basil. It's just if I can get the seeds, like the right variety, and whether it's still more so the climate than it is like the soil nutrients and things. I don't know whether you can reproduce that. Afternoon, welcome in. Oh yeah, the basil was my favourite thing in Italy. Like I was literally having it with anything you'd put it in and eat, you'd instantly taste the basil come through, and it was amazing. And then I've come back, done exactly that, tomato and basil, and eaten it, and you can't taste any of the basil. You literally can't taste it in comparison, which is kind of a shame. So that sounds good. Oh, I found a load of them power supplies in the garage. You know, the actual Atari ones, like the one you've got there. Oh yeah, and the tomato. See, again, the tomatoes are closer. They're like probably something we could get. But the basil definitely is something I haven't managed to fully get something similar to. I don't know whether it's like how salmon's Norway's famous for salmon because they're very specific micronutrients in the soil, or something that you can't reproduce anywhere else in the world, even though they've tried. I don't know whether it's going to be a similar thing with basil. Is it just the stuff that's in the soil more so than you know, just the growing temperatures and things? But I'm definitely going to try hunting for different varieties of basil in the UK, or just like I say, grow my own and see if that helps. Well, that's one use of the cheap desolder pump. The whole thing's just come apart. I still haven't bought a new engineer one. This master system, it's just a send in. I forgot to explain anything about it. It's just a send in having a clean comp. Because Master System 2s have RF only, so this has got no composite. So I'm just removing the RF port. I'm as bad as telling you what repairs I'm on as I am selling stuff. We're just removing the RF port and putting on the Clean Comp Universal to gain composite out. wow, this desolder pump is useless. I need to get myself that official one brought again. Oh yeah, that is one of the biggest problems, trying to get quality stuff is nigh on impossible these days, even if you wanted to. It boils down to the amount of sun exposure, hours, more oils. Yeah, and you're not going to replicate sun exposure. That's why I guess they're using hydroponics to try and simulate the UV, but it's obviously got to be related to more than just sun, or more than just UV, or maybe the type of UV being different in, real sun versus fake growing conditions. Grab that level. I've got the let's get the original. That fake one is just not doing anything. But my genuine engineer one is pretty old and used, but I bet this will still do a better job. There you go. Original versus clone. And this is an original that's almost non-usable and it still performs better. So straighten them tabs up. Clean that last bit. The gel balls on Mac, I don't know whether it's fully fixed on the wiki or not, I can't remember how far I got. I know there's the chroma clock is the most obvious cause where the chroma clock runs. I'd have to check the wiki. I've done obviously that many different jail ball things, I don't know which one would be which yet. It's this chip here. One of these pins somewhere around here sends out a trace, goes from here and runs somewhere under the RGB pins going to the CXA chip. So somewhere on these three pins, which would be these three, so they go over to this, which go through these caps, so probably these traces here, these are RGB I'd say, and then they go under the board somewhere to here, and then they're obviously wherever they're running here, the chroma clock from over here crosses by. So I've done some of that on the wiki. I don't know how far I got with fixing that. I think I just recommended if you're doing an RGB to cut the trace as opposed actually find out where it went. Yeah, you should be able to fix it with nothing more than maybe a capacitor to smooth something if it's missing some capacitance, but mainly probably just redirecting traces is all you need. Since that's them out, and then we can just hot air the end bit, and this should just drop out cleanly then. And I could technically, I suppose the other thing, I've taken all this out, I could reuse, well, no, you can and you can't. I was going to say you could reuse the RF port for composite, but then you've got no audio. So we do need to take the RF port out. And now we have a nice big space here. Oh yeah, no, it will be that simple. It's not an issue with the clock. It's just an issue where the traces of the clock run. So it'll just be a case of making sure you effectively lift pins out and run wires further away, because it'll just be crosstalk where traces are physically close to each other between the chroma clock and RGB data. So it's something that, yeah, that it's 100% not a problem. It's no different than every other console I've fixed a jail bars on. We'll have to look at it at some point on a substream. Yeah, that's the R in some I've done. You can get the delidded decaps and stuff, but that's almost never a problem. And there's nothing you can do if it is that traces inside the chip run close, bar injecting current or making resistors and pull-ups and pull-downs stronger. You wouldn't be able to fix it in the die, but I've yet to come across an issue where that's actually been a problem. Like, it's always solvable. We'll look at it one time. Right, so now we need to put on a port. And we need to... have we got Mega Drive 2 cables? We haven't. Right, so now we can fit. I think when I used to do this, I only had Master System 1 RGB cables. So we had to drill out and make this port bigger. Whereas now, get that in. We have the Mega Drive 2 clean RGB done now. Why can't I get that in? Right, I'm close enough anyway. So now we can fit a Mega Drive 2 port on there without having to cut the shell. Yeah, you'll be thinking about basically, the problem is if the issue's inside the chip, lifting the pin or grounding the pin doesn't do anything anyway. If the problem's in the chip, you're not going to fix it by bypassing it outside the chip because the noise is inside the chip, so it's kind of, it doesn't really solve it that way. There's a lot of things that can cause noise, but like I say, it's needs its own real topic. Two cables in there. Oh yeah, we've got to pull it off. That's not the right cable. There we go. And what am I doing? That's an RGB cable. Don't even need that. So I actually need standard. Yeah, I'll have to get. You know what? I don't think we even sell composite cables anymore for Mega Drive. Yeah, that's could be a problem. I've got one, maybe. Yes, luckily I've got one spare. We don't really do composite cables. We used to sell composite cables all the time. And since we went to RGB, we don't really sell, well, we don't sell the composite cables anymore. But then we still offer a service. For installing the clean comp. But luckily, I've found one cable in our tub. I can always, you know, make them again. These are cables we've made. So first thing we need to do is physically mount this. It has to be mounted upside down because the pins are obviously not going to go through the board. So we place it upside down in the cable there, in the cable, on the thing there, and then this lines up. Or we will line it up perfectly with this. Like somewhere around there, basically. That's the idea. Yep, cool. Catch you in a bit. Yeah, so we want that to be about there. And maybe tilted back. So maybe I can solder it there while it's in position. And this is that port there. So what I'm going to do is just flood this with solder, and this is where the battery powered JBC shows that it can basically solder onto anything. This is a massive ground plane. At least that knocks it out of the way. Massive ground plane and a big connector, and the JBC will handle this no problem. And then we want to make sure that's upright. I want to get it tacked in at one spot, so I'll probably get some solder on this edge. We are installing a Mega Drive 2 port on a Master System 2 at the minute, and then we're going to just, it's actually going to be a composite, clean composite, not clean RGB. This customer wants composite adding, so I'm just getting the first tack point on here, and then we will move it into position. So it needs to go over slightly to the right. Ow, that's hot. So let's move that over a little bit. And see if that's now centered. There we go. So, oh yeah, burn every time. That's now, look at that. And that's in. Maybe a smidgen towards us. But that's pretty much as close to central. Like that would be acceptable. Let's just move it slightly back towards us a little bit. Perfect. So now that's centered. Plug the cable and keep it centered. The weight would move it up and down because it's not even attached at the bottom, so it'd just be lifting up and down. But that's now centered. So what we'll do now is get some sponge on there. If I can find a place where it rests. There we go. And we'll just flood this with more solder now to lock it into place. So I'm going to do it the side. The side's got this blank piece with no copper, so we're going to have to do a nice big blob to bridge over the top of that. And then we could at some point make a a little adapter PCB that kind of holds this in place a bit easier, but this is no real neither. It's got a metal cage naturally, so it kind of works out pretty well for us. And look how nice it makes the connections as well. Just nice clean bubbles. So let's just do this side now. Here, make sure we don't melt the DC jack. And then I'll probably just put a bit more on this back side. Again, nice big blob. And this isn't going anywhere then. There we go. This is a Master System 2, so we've just, basically it looks like a weld. Basically attached a Mega Drive 2 AV port, so we've taken off the RF connector. We've now soldered in just mounted a Mega Drive 2 port that's now physically mounted, so this is rock solid, this isn't going anywhere now. And we put that into the casing. We've now got the port on the back side showing through there, so we can plug the cable in, and now we need to wire it up to composite. So for that we're using the Clean Comp Universal. So this is just one of my boards to make. You can get composite perfect from any console using this that has the things like the CXA chip that are standard RGB to composite and RGB out. And you'll see it in the console when we're done. And no, this is actually composite the customer wanted. Most people go for that'll fit nicely there, or to be honest, shorter leads will fit nicer that way. Yeah, the customer chose this, so it just must mean you don't have RGB setup. What am I after now? Phone. I've seen them phones this morning, they're not a phone. Famicom AV modding at the moment, not so much. We've obviously got we haven't. There's a mod for RGB like the lava. it's something I was going to make myself, like an RGB mod. But the main issue with the Famicoms is mounting the ports. Like you tend to mount like SNES AV ports, which is quite a bit of work for like shell cutting and stuff, and we don't like it, so we don't really have that much for the Famicom in terms of AV mods at the minute. Oh yeah, the flux smelling nice. Yeah, in fact it's one of the things that Solder King mentioned on there. Something about, I've seen it somewhere in the marketing adverts that is that the one you say smells nice as well, the Solder King, like fruity, or was that something else? Remember you mentioning that when because I went to the thing, didn't I? Stivy, and you said it stunk, like didn't smell nice. Yeah. So I've just put double-sided foam on the bottom of this just so we can stick it here. Now I shouldn't need a guide for this other than the pin out for the audio, which is, I think, 3rd pin up, so we probably don't need a guide at all. Yeah, the SM10, do I remember that? Haven't heard of that for a while. I know the main problem with a lot of these kits is that they tend to just never stick around or stay in stock. Alright, so we're going to need, let's do 5 volt. In fact, I'll show you where, if you want to do this yourself, where you get the pin out. You just go to retro6.wiki and then go to this bit here at the top in a random spot, but CXA 2075 upgrade, but it's also got the CXA 1145 pin out. So this is the diagram I always use for most mods here. So we can leave that on screen, go to here and do that. And this is the CXA chip here. So if we angled it this way, then we have the pin out for it now. And you can see we have then ground we can tap off here. 5 volt we can tap off where you can't see. Let me move that over. There you go. So 5 volt is down here, ground is here or here. I was wrong on the thing, that's C-Sync audio in and out, so we probably want audio out on here, so this pin, 4th pin up for audio, which will go straight to the connector. And what we do here is do ground and 5 volt as the input. Then in 1 is composite, so we want comp out, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's this pin. So we want to tap a wire from here to in, ground to ground, 5 volt to 5 volt. And then our output then, on out 1, goes to this port. This port will need ground, 5 volts, the output, and importantly audio, so we don't forget that. And then the pin out for this will be another window into the wiki. And just go to Mega Drive 2, because that's what this is. AV pin out. And then here's the bottom of it. So that's then looking this way. And now we know we need to wire audio, left, right, and mono. These 3, we'll wire all 3 together and go to the single audio pin down here. The ground is actually on this. It's this physical cage, so it's already got ground. 5 volts we want to wire here. And then we could technically wire RGB up, but it's not correct. It doesn't have a clean RGB. That's a totally different mod. So all we need to wire is the composite on here. And that's it. Composite and audio. So pretty simple wiring for this one. So for composite, I'm going to use yellow. So let's get that a bit wired first. And I'll just move this off screen now. And I can look at it and you guys can just see the mod work. So composite for me is 2nd pin. Like so, and then this will go to out 1. In 1 might be just long enough. Yeah, so can we use this for the in as well? We'll do the input while we're at it. You technically want to use an oscilloscope, but if it's your console, you can just use the actual TV and just watch it appear. But because this is for a customer and we want it to be perfect, we'll obviously use a scope. But no, you can technically, I mean, what you can also do, and I don't know whether it's already on the guide, is you can just screenshot the exact positions of these dials and then turn it to that, based on, you know, which console the mod's for. So we'll check that in a minute. Comp out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that wants to go like that. What's that mean? Right, let's do ground. So ground is from here to the top, so short wire will do. Oh yeah, funnily enough, you know, I said I've never sold that. I made that clean light for the Neo Geo and then never sold any. Since I did the video showing it off, I've sold like 7 in 2 days. So it shows that if you actually show off your products, they might sell. Plus now it's a no cut install, which a few of you mentioned was like one of the off-putting things, not wanting to cut the traces on the Neo Geo. So maybe when I make the official clean power, I'll also, what I might do for that is make it a power delivery one instead of just a 5 volt. So you don't have to change, you don't have to cut traces and stuff. But then I'd have to consider, with one version being 9 volt and the other being 5, we'd have to have a switch on the clean power maybe to set that voltage. And just make sure there's a big warning or a sticker in it to say, exactly the same as plugging in random powers into the Neo Geos, make sure you've set the clean power to the right voltage. So that just needs a bit of consideration. Yeah, I think that's what we do. Default it to 5, like you say, with a big warning, maybe just on the PCB itself, like a big warning saying, do, you know, 9 volt switch, do not, I don't know, like, you know, some basic warning that tells people if they're modding it or installing it, they need to know that their system is definitely a 9 volt system. Like, you know, do you see a giant coil kind of thing? That's the telltale sign. Oh, this could have been a bridge wire, because we need to go to here and we also need to go to there. Never mind, be 2 wires now. 5 volt down here. Oh yeah, what was that noise? Did we get a like, a sub? I didn't notice that actually. I forgot to check. That's the 5 volt there. Can go over there maybe. Let's add this to the port before I forget, because this is this is one I tend to forget to add, which is the 5 volt. And some receivers need the 5 volt. It's rare, but some are like more for RGB because that sets whether the TV SCART leads in RGB or composite. But it's always good to wire it in. The pin out for the port says there's 5 volts there, and you never know what the customer might want to plug in or expect if they're using powered cables, for example. Maybe they want to use like some kind of cable that takes Mega Drive to composite to HDMI or something, like a cheap converter. So it's best to always wire in the voltage because it's expected on that pin of the connector. I knew this was going to happen. That's why it shows on a bridge wire. There we go. Got a little bit of solder stuck to the insulation. There we go. So that's why I was going to make that wire a kind of bridge wire to go from there through and straight down. Otherwise your wires keep pinging off. Right, so 5 volt in, ground there, ground's on the connector already. Input, output. Now we just need audio, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 pins up on this. And then we should just need to tune it on the oscilloscope then to get this all working. And then if you remember on this one now, we need to bridge all 3 of those pins together. So what we can do is bend one over and just bend all 3 together. I was going to use a long wire end, which we still can. Just do all 3 methods. Go through, wrap around. Like so. And now we can just flood that with solder and they'll all join together. There we go, it's audio on. Ah, nice, yeah. If it's not the caps, what normally fails on the mains power ones is either the NTC, which is the negative thermocoupler. Looks like little, looks like blue ones of these capacitors almost. So like this blue colour, but in this shape, or black it'll be. Or it can be the main switch, which will look something like this, like one of the main switches. They're normally the most common things to fail, if it's not capacitors on them. Right, so we have composite in, ground, 5 volts to there, ground to there, composite out, audio out. So that's definitely everything. Let's power this up and tune it. So let's get to there. We will need, where's picoscope? There's picoscope. Here is the actual scope. Grip on there. supply. Have we got a power supply to this? It's customer sent one. Their master system. Yeah, just check what it is. Consolizer, no, but I do have a tub of them. I think High Speedido made one years ago, and we never bothered doing anything with them. I've got them somewhere in this tub. There we go. So I've got loads of them here. So I think this is one half of the kit, but that's like a dock for the bottom of the Game Boy, a SNES controller, and then the console has HDMI. So you can have one of these for like 20 quid or something if you left a note. And then there's like the other kit. So that goes onto your Game Boy. You get a micro HDMI port out, a USB port goes at the top or bottom, I think, and then the console docks on here. But if you just googled High Speedido GBA dock, I don't even know whether they still sell these, but we brought a load to sell years ago and never got around to it. And then obviously I made the clean screen since then, and we eventually planned HDMI, and just nobody really cares about HDMI on retro consoles. For the handhelds, it's more the desktops, so I think it was all just mainly the like everybody racing to make the first mod of this, the first mod of that, and everyone went from making screens to like, oh, let's make HDMI as if it was like this big thing, and I don't think anybody really cared. Like almost nobody wanted HDMI on a Game Boy Advance, so we just didn't bother carrying on and making that. Whereas now I think everybody's chasing for the HDMI on the Game Gear, so we are making that, but that's just again more based on demand. If people aren't asking for it, we don't bother making it. Power supply I was going to look for. If you're unsure of what power, as always, go to the wiki, go to power supply details in the side menu here, and then look for your console. So we're on to Mega Drive 2, Master System 2, outer positive, so that is a Game Gear power supply. What's that? They're all done here. Yellow doesn't work with it. That one's done. That's for no, that's Big Bro. She's waiting on. She's got the other bits for. That's it, I think, isn't it? Right, so this is, we're going to be doing this blind. I'm pretty sure the Master System 2s had inbuilt games. So we're going to put power on. Can't even remember which way around the power switch is on this. We'll find out by probing. So we've got ground on. I'm just going to go ground on here with the scope. I'm going to probe the input for now, which is here. And then let's open up the scope. Where is it? There. And we've got a trigger set, that's why it's not triggering, or why it's not showing. Got some kind of advanced trigger, so you can see there's the composite, so we've got stuff loaded. These dips here are frames, so this will be like the 50 or 60 frames a second, so we did that. This is 50 hertz, this is running in, so we can see there's the hertz. If we go faster, we can bring in, and here is one of the single lines. So this is a 3 low H-sync pulses to trigger the start of the frame, and each one of these is aligned. So we're looking at what looks like just a white screen here for the most part. So we're sitting on a white screen basically. Oh, thanks for the continued sub. So what we need to do first is remove this DC offset. So if we look at this, where's my thing? 0 is here, this white line. We need to bring this down. So if we went to over the top there, the whole point of this, if we have a screwdriver in here, these come with the clean comps. We probe on the, actually we probe on in, it's been a while since I've used the clean comp universal. DC offset there, that little DF I think it is. Or not. Oh, actually it might be. So DC offset there, and you want to then turn the dial, which is here, and you can see it's basically gone because it's turned too far. There we go, so that brings it back. So that's all the way clockwise is no change, and then if we turn it basically this way, you can see we're removing that DC offset. You want to remove it just enough that you're just off the bottom. Like you want to be as close to the bottom as possible, so that's that. Then the next step is you go to the gain, or you can skip all that now and go straight to the output. Now we've got the DC offset, and this output now wants to be, we've got no cable connected, so the output wants to be doubled. It's called unterminated, and we want it to be sitting 0.2 volts above. So it wants to be sitting there. Probably show this full screen. We want the offset to be sitting there, and we want the overall gap between it to be 1.4 volts. So overall, it will be sitting at 1.6 volts. But that's because we've got a 0.2 volt offset. So you can see that's now massively over voltage. So this would be way too bright. Go to that one. So what we do for that now is turn the gain here, and we'll turn the gain down. We might need to have a divider as well. So you can see that's all the way down and still won't go far enough. So we need to bridge the, where's the divider pin on this thing? There, we need to bridge this diff pin here because it's too high. And I'll just do this while it's powered on. So this is battery powered, so we're not injecting any mains. There we go, so now we can reduce that even further, which is what we need. And actually that's not far off, that's nearly perfect already. But the problem is we ideally want a white screen for doing this. But now we can turn the DC offset. I was never turning the right knob, that was over here. I was turning divide, I think, was I? No, I wasn't, I turned the right one. So now we want to turn this divide to lower it down to get within the lines. There we go. So I'd say that's now, presuming, there you go, white's kicked in, so it's going slightly above. There we go. But the DC offset is slightly off. In fact, that's as low as the DC offset goes on the composite, so it's got an internal, it's got an internal floor that won't go lower than that. So that means instead of our 0.2 volts offset at the bottom, it's got to sit at 0.38. And that means this wants to be still the 1.4 there. So now, if I just show you that, we need to bring the divide down to fall within that. And what you can do as well, you can bring the trigger down to be just within it. Why is it triggering there with nothing visible? But this is where I'd have, let's go to normal. Positive edge, greater than, less than, we want a normal, just advanced edge. Rising pre-trigger. Simple edge. I'm wondering why this is triggering here when there's nothing that high. We're not seeing anything that high, but it's triggering over the top. And that's completely lost composite anyway there. Wherever we're at there, we're not right. There we go. And personally, if you're going to do this, I'd usually recommend now the clean RGB. The clean RGB board, universal one, not the clean comp, because the clean RGB is, there we go, maybe slightly less. We can do the fine tuning now on the visual if we need to, but that should get us now the actual output of what's going on. The Clean RGB Universal is just a very similar design to this, but improved. So I improved the design slightly when I come to the RGB. So you can use the Clean RGB for clean composite, and it's just a bit easier to tune because, like I say, basically internally how I made the design, I improved it slightly on the Clean RGB, but both of them work. But there we go. That's now that in, and let's take a look at this on the actual screen now, and we should get audio and games all loading and everything working. And this is where we find out the no doubt Elgato capture card trolls me, and I have to get under the desk to power cycle it usually. Oh no, maybe not. Right, so let's turn this on, and if we did it right, we should see something on there. Of course we don't. Wow, oh, I haven't got power. Plug power in maybe. And are we on or are we off? There we go, on. We'll get there in a minute. And there's Sega. Now, you guys can hear that. I can't. Well, I can, but really quiet. Yeah, so I can hear that. But you guys get the direct audio output. So I presume your audio is pretty clean. You guys would have to let me know, to be honest, if the audio sounds good. And then you can see that looks maybe a tad bright, so we can come down slightly. But you can see the benefit if I turn it all the way down. You can go really dark, you can go over bright. So you can control this visually as much as you want. So that's about the offset here. If you go too low, so you go too dark. So you can do it visually by just, you know, looking at the screen if you wanted to. Like this. And alter this to suit. It's really up to your preference where you want it. Which is kind of the benefit in one way. But on the screen, voltage wise, we had it close enough to perfect that we were happy with it. You can run 240p test suites as well, yeah. To see the bands, that's probably a nice way of seeing it if we have, which I do have somewhere, I'm sure. Master system on here, and the controller. Master system. I think you use Mega Drive on the Master System, but I've got my trusty sleek blacked out edition Master System controller with no silk screen. So we can presumably turn this on and check on the test suite. Is it back the other way? Yeah, there we go. End one. Oh, poop. There we go. So video tests, color bars, and it's only got what looks like the same color level as Master System. So see how we can see the dark, the zero that made in the dark. If I adjust this output, you can see we can change the saturation. So that's the output there, and you want the white to just get to white and stop changing, which is about there. And then the divider, this one will be a big change, so that goes completely killed, and the other way will bring it back. But then drop. So you see, if you drop too much, you lose the mid-range. So the biggest adjustment is that DC offset, to remove the DC offset as much as possible. without losing colour. So I'd say we're nice there where we are. You can see all the gradients, but the Master System only has, I think, 4,096 colours, so there's not that much to kind of see. Is that the dude I've got message about that?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's all that. Take that out, turn that on, and that's the clean comp done. And there we go, that's all good. Let's have a little play of Alex the Kidderman then. Or Alex Kidd as people go crazy at. You know, I would call him Alex the Kid. Where's the ghost? I remember this as a child. Yes, the power ring. Now, punch the bird in the face. Which one of these was the ghost? I know for a fact one of these is a ghost. And you have to go legging it down. I think it's this one. Yeah, nearly died. Whoa. Why do I think it's this one? Oh, thank God. Right, and is it going to be this? Yes, not that. See, full sense of security. You get all that one. Sure he's that one. Because I remember running and then you try to get in this cage. And you have to punch these out in a certain order as well. Otherwise, you can't get every box. You have to drop in here. Oh, this one's the tricky one, isn't it? You're not going to drop. Yeah, you can't drop in the middle. So you've got to punch this way out. Oh, this is tricky. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Let's go for it. Run! Go, go, go! And then, oh yeah, and then that skull one. Does that just stop you in your tracks and you freeze? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Hey, the ghost's gone. Why did the ghost not follow? Is it when you get him off screen he stops following? Huh, I never knew that. Well, I probably did, I probably forgot. Yoink, yoink. See, I've still... Oh, I forgot about that one. If you stand on it, the ghost comes. No! Oh, see, and then you can't get your good stuff. You have to run, and then you lose all your good stuff. Where's my motorbike? Do you guys remember the motorbike you get? And then you go flying. No, my TV's going to turn off. Whoa. There we go. Whoa, wrong button. See, muscle memory kicks in. Even though I haven't played this since I was pretty much a child, you can still... You remember how to like fall and hit the birds and stuff. Oh, I used to hate the water. I absolutely hated this water. I don't know why, but I just really did. I'm going to get out of the water. I don't want to be in the water. How do I get out? Oh, no. How would you get out of the water parts? I can't actually remember. The Pro pads, yeah, they help massive. So it depends. SNES, it helps a lot. Xbox controllers helps a little bit. But yeah, people swear by them. Like, they help on some console. Oh, there you go. I just couldn't scroll before for some reason. They help on some consoles more than others. And it's all preference, but the reason I made them was for the SNES gamepad. It really helps with that. Now they come as standard in our little SNES gamepads. Oh yeah, the Toad, I forgot about him. You have to punch him a few times, don't you? Poor Toad. Oh, I forgot about that as well. I thought that was too easy, just wait. Ah, there we go. Anyway, that's all that done. I need to crack on now with even more work, but that'll do for the stream, I think. What else is there? I've got Game Boys to do, but like I say, I need to probably jump off stream now and focus to get things done a bit quicker. And we've been at it for like 3.5 hours, so thank you guys for joining in, and yeah, that's it for this one pretty much. Right, let's pack these bits up. Oh yeah, and I wanted to do the Game Gear code as well, so I don't know, maybe I'll be back on later, we'll see. And see you guys maybe later on, if not, probably tomorrow again.